Wendy Bell Radio is live.
Hey.
Oh,
What? How do you... Oh, boy, me. I just said one thing. Really? Look at you. You're not even paying... Look at you. You're trying not to smile.
I'm trying
You're trying to act
make
like
sure
you don't have
everything's
a
working.
cold or something with that red nostril. He's like, it's not. I just had a nose here yesterday, and then I took care of it. And I'm like, then why do you still sound like you have a cold and you have a big red nose? These are the questions that will defy all logic. It's almost like we're going to talk about that a little bit today. Like,
What, defying logic?
No, like, you know better. You know better. People, I'm so pissed at people on the left who are like, oh my God, something happened. And it's like, you know better. You all know better. Stop being a douche.
Yeah, you
Just
mean
try harder not to be a douche. You're right? Just
stopping
shut
impeding
up.
police?
Just
Yeah.
shh. I was telling Brock this morning, I'm like, I can't even look. I'm driving in. We have this new time. You guys are obviously aware of it. We're driving in. I'm listening to Fox News, and it's awful. It's worthless. It's spinning your wheels, giving credence to doofuses like Jacob Fry, who thinks it's cool to F-bomb on live television. Like, I don't know what's wrong with you, dude. I don't get you.
This is the same guy who cried at George Floyd's funeral at his casket while wearing a mask, and he never knew the guy.
Which one? There were 4 of them.
Yeah.
Like, whoa, where'd he go? Was it the gold casket? Hopefully there was Bobblehead himself, Bobblehead McGraw, Al Sharpton.
Of course.
Was he a CIA informant? Isn't that the story on him? He was an informant. Yeah.
Would you be surprised? Dirtbag. He's a dirtbag.
I wouldn't. I do want to tell you. What do I have to tell you guys about today? I'm so excited to tell you about Healthy Cell, and I'm gonna put it in the beginning here because I absolutely love it. I got a great care package. I'm gonna say anything that Healthy Cell is putting on its website right now, anything that Healthy Cell is putting on its site with all of the new formulations. This is the stuff that I think is the future of supplementation. This is getting you. It's like Dr. Dubiak. Dr. Dubiak goes through the veins, right? He takes your blood, tests this blood, figures out where you're deficient, gives you direct into your bloodstream, IV access. Boom, there you go. Not everybody can go see Dr. Dubiak and get an IV, but you can get Healthy Cell. You can get calm mood. You can get bone strength. You can get the one for your blood sugar. You can get one for your cardiovascular system. You can get one for your hair, skin, and your nails, your immunity, all of this stuff. There's all these beautiful formulations. And remember, the great thing about Healthy Cell is it comes to you in a certain way, in these little microgel packs. So they're transportable, they're delicious. They're natural. There's nutraceuticals, adaptogens, all these other things, whatever, nootropics, whatever it's called. But that's what it is. And it comes in this form, and you suck it in, and it's digestible, it's absorbable, and shazam, you feel better. It's amazing. HealthyCell.com/Wendy. It's what I take. It's how I get my supplements, and it's worth it. HealthyCell.com/Wendy. There is a discount there. Anywho. How's everybody? Let's see what's going on. So I think we ended up number 6 yesterday. Ultimately number 6. Super low views. I think kind of across the board. There were a lot of different things going on, and Rumble was pushing out a bunch of stuff. We ended, I don't know, 5,000 views or 50,000 views. I was delighted by that. I'm delighted that Bongino is coming back, and he's coming back 10 to 12. What great timing for us, isn't it? Great timing. So I'm super excited for Dan. Was that February?
We said early February,
yeah.
I think.
Good for him. I've got stuff coming out of my hair here. Sorry. Anywho, I'm really happy for him. I think it bodes well for us, right? This is going to be a good time for us. 2,700 people on here right now. Hello. Good morning. WBR got a win. Marnie, is that because of Bongino and his schedule? Yeah. It's not going to conflict with our time. I think it's just very fortuitous. It will be weird, though, because to Brock's point, he says that he's going to be going up against Crowder, right?
Yeah.
So that's going to be a little different. I don't know. Whatever.
They might have different audiences.
Let them duke it out. different audiences? Yeah, probably. Right?
You said last night, maybe Dan Bongino's people should rate our stream after.
See, that's what I'm saying. I think that would be fun.
I watched a little of him last night, and their chat was just no. I couldn't even follow it.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, you couldn't follow it.
That's terrific. So was he on Rumble?
He was on with, yes.
Oh, good.
That Silver Lock, the one girl. That's all his. That's why he went on with her.
Whatever.
Oh, yeah.
I'm happy for him. I think it's going to be great. I think there's lots of room for us. Hello from Altoona, says Ralph. Hi, Ralph. It's great to see you. What's up, A. Gladhill? What's going on? 46 did not win in Rosebud. 7 card 21.
I don't think Dan Bongino failed. I just don't think we know what he was.
Oh, I wouldn't say
doing.
what he was doing. No. Griffin Lady.
Here we go.
Check on Rumble Wallet app. Oh.
4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome to your daily dose of facts to fight off the liberal gaslighting.
You can be in the middle of a hurricane.
You have sanctuary in the city of Chicago.
Or you can be on a calm day. North is still north. You could be in a thunderstorm.
I am angry. We are not going back. Not ever.
North is still north. People can yell at you.
The hell with the Supreme Court. We will defy them.
North is still north. It doesn't change fundamental things. And in this business, right is still right, even if you stand by yourself.
We don't get fooled again. No.
Live across the fruited plain and from sea to shining sea, we're converting the Marxist left 1 hour at a time on the Wendy Bell radio program.
Well, hello, America. Greetings to all of you across the beautiful fruited plain. Welcome home to the Wendy Bell radio program, Common Sense Conservative Values. Look, common sense. We are so woefully lacking in this common sense. It's like we need to have one of those big paddles, the thing that shocks your heart back into rhythm. It's like clear, and have like the entire country just jump for a second, because this is crazy. You got people actively defying federal law enforcement, right? Getting shot and killed for so doing, and liberals, surprisingly, not blaming the gun this time. Never taking responsibility. I'm done. Gloves off. Common sense comes back. I'm not going to talk about what Fox News is saying. I don't care what Newsmax is saying. I'm going to share with you what I think you are hungry for. And it is the truth, and it is never complicated. Wendy Bell Radio Network. WendyBellRadio.com. Follow along the live video stream. And come back. There's always space for you. Welcome home. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. Guys, it's a bad look to be a liberal today. It's bad. There is no move that you're going to make that's going to be a winning move. There is no decision you get behind. There is no strategy you guys espouse that works, doesn't suck. Like, you've got to be so tired of being relentlessly beaten. And now you're just being mocked at, but you're dangerous. You're dangerous. You call people Nazis and fascists and oligarchs and kings, all because why? Because you don't really believe it unless you're stupid, which is a whole nother ballgame. Why? Did somebody out there with deep pockets give you a few bucks? Are you needing to make a few dollars? And so you answered the indivisible website, request, show up at this street, bring your blah, blah, blah. So-and-so will meet you there with the talking points. Nothing you do is organic. Nothing you do is authentic. Nothing you do is America first. It is divisive. It is destructive. And yesterday proved yet again it is deadly. It is because of the rhetoric of the progressive lunatics in the media who they amplify the messages, and the Democrats, politicians who know better but are in the fight for their political survival. It is because of them that Charlie Kirk is dead. It is because of them that some woman yesterday got shot and killed. She knew better, okay? It's the name of the show today. She knew better. All of the people accused of doing this and that, whether it's trying to gun down in your vehicle, an act of domestic terror, trying to run over, hurt, or murder a federal agent who is doing their job, and removing something to the effect of 1,500 violent criminals from Minneapolis, right? You know better. What do you think is going to happen? Look, I hear very dangerous rhetoric on the left. You have a situation in Minneapolis where you have a fraud system that is beyond our wildest nightmares. You have a governor who, either because he's so much of a moron or he thinks you're so much of a moron, a system of welfare fraud, and a governor that allowed it to happen. You have media that ran interference. You have a police department and a police chief who's clearly on some Somalian payroll. You have a mayor of Minneapolis who cried at George Floyd, dropped the F-bomb on live TV yesterday, and is totally in bed with the Somalian population. And so you have a surge of federal agents to clean it up, ordered by the president. And they're doing their job. And a woman with whatever motive in her mind, whether she thought she was being a hero or she thought that ICE agents really are Nazis, because she's heard it a few times from Tim Walz's own mouth and parroted all over the mainstream media. She decided to put her car into drive, hit the gas, and try to run over an ICE agent. And that agent, who, by the way, just a few weeks ago, got 33 stitches after being dragged 300 feet by another moron driver out there, because now they're using their vehicles as weapons. That's the new way to get at ICE. That's the new way to get back at this administration that's trying to peel away the 20 million people who marched across our border unlawfully, right? That's the new thing to do. This agent, 33 stitches, dragged almost, yet again, pulls his firearm and he fires. It is what happens. That woman knew better. I want you to hear Kristi Noem, 56 seconds, explain exactly what happened. This is what she says went down. Then you decide. Listen.
You asked about a shooting that we just had in Minneapolis, Minnesota. It was an act of domestic terrorism. What happened was our ICE officers were out in an enforcement action. They got stuck in the snow because of the adverse weather that is in Minneapolis. They were attempting to push out their vehicle, and a woman attacked them and those surrounding them and attempted to run them over and ram them with her vehicle. An officer of ours acted quickly and defensively shot to protect himself and the people around him. And my understanding is that she was hit and is deceased. We're continuing to gather more information, but this goes to show the assaults that our ICE officers and our law enforcement are under every single day. These vehicle rammings are domestic acts of terrorism. We're working with the Department of Justice to prosecute them as such. We will continue to protect our ICE officers and in cooperation with other law enforcement agencies as well.
You know, the agent who fired his weapon and killed that woman who tried to hurt or kill him? Do you know who he was pulling over when he got dragged 300 feet a couple weeks ago in Bloomington? This is the home to the Mall of America, etc., not far from the international airport there in Minneapolis. He was pulling over a guy, 30-odd-something-year-old Guatemalan illegal. Came here illegally, orders to be deported. He had sexual crimes with a child, ladies and gentlemen. So you have a deviant pedophile, right? Being pulled over from Guatemala. Guy guns it, drags that agent 33 stitches later. Just so happens that that's the same agent that this woman yesterday decided to play a little bit of chicken with. And she lost. She knew better. Every single instinct in your body tells you law enforcement, particularly of the federal variety, you don't take them on. Do you know who also knew better, ladies and gentlemen? Ashley Babbitt, right? You might not expect me to say this. I don't talk a whole lot about Ashley Babbitt on this program. She should not be dead, right? Michael Byrd, the Capitol police officer, shot and killed her. If she had not tried to crawl through that window, one could argue she would be alive today. Ashley Babbitt knew better. Now, whether the moment, whether the excitement, whether adrenaline, I don't know what it is. But you have law enforcement on the other side of the window, and you're crawling through. Ashley Babbitt knew better. Did she deserve to die? We can have that discussion. She's a grown woman. We understand consequences. The woman in that vehicle yesterday knew better. But in her mind, this was what you do, I guess. You follow along and you kind of hunt down the ICE agents. You become a nuisance. You become a danger. And then you become dead. She knew better. Actions have consequences. And I don't care if you're a crying liberal today who's going to say that ICE agents are murderers, or you're going to be like Dan Goldman, the dangerous representative, who said that agent should be arrested for murder and then dropped all sorts of bogus allegations about it being a green agent who clearly didn't have any training. No, he's had training. He's also had some problems with 33 stitches, Dan. You're putting America's peacekeepers in the crosshairs, Democrats. And your progressive wacko wing of weird-looking ladies out there on the left, usually college-educated, white-triggered liberal chicks, the scourge of American society. Well, they've heard your dog whistle, and they've taken the bait, and they are out ready to mobilize. Who's the next one? Who's going to know better? Because when it comes to you and an ICE agent's gun, who do you think is going to win? When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, I've got two great audio sound bites. Scott Jennings calling the spade, calls it out for what it is. This is political vigilantism, okay? And then a woman TikToker, influencer, truth teller. America's not being fooled that much, ladies and gentlemen. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. When I went into Sears and tried to walk out with a pair of lime green stretch pants underneath my skirt, I knew what I was doing. I knew better. I knew better. Right? I knew better. Everybody knows you know better. Maybe not. What's his name? The director that just got killed.
Rob Reiner.
Nick Reiner might not know better. He might be crazy. Everybody else, I'm going to be like, I think we know better. Let's stop with the excuses. You own your behavior, and now you're dead. And it sucks for your wife, and it sucks for your child, and it sucks for the ripple effect of everybody who's impacted by it, but it didn't have to happen. None of this happens with the closed border. None of this happens when Donald Trump is allowed to win the 2020 election. None of this effing happens. I want to talk to you guys about, you know what? I want to tell you about CB Distillery. CBDistillery.com right now. You've got some pain. I'm watching Brock. He's going through some treatment for a problem with his, perhaps some nerves, some sciatica going on. I'm going to tell you what, if there's something out there that could take the edge off of pain, I'm all about it. If it doesn't involve one of those high speed, like those narcotic painkillers, absolutely knock me out. Anything I can do that is avoiding taking even Tylenol and Advil, I will avoid, right? CB Distillery right now, look, they are phenomenal. They do 100% money back guarantee. They have 2 million beyond satisfied customers, repeat customers, and they have CBD products great for calming you, stress relief, huge benefit. Also pain after exercise could really benefit Brock. And then people have trouble sleeping. And they have products for that as well. CBDistillery.com, you hover over that QR code, it's going to lock you up with a 25% discount. If you go to CBDistillery.com, just put in my name, Wendy, you'll get the discount there too. Their products are phenomenal. I swear by them. Swear by them. Do you have anything in there?
For
pain relief, you okay?
I'm good.
Let's see how you guys are doing. I haven't even rumbled. Sorry, I'm with it. I'm coming with it. Here we go. 1.71. Look at you guys. Again, so our numbers yesterday were not good. There's a disturbance in the force. It happens. But to get 50,000 views is huge when it's completely organic. It's you and it's me, and it's not Rumble pushing us out there. And then you guys hit the thumbs up button underneath the video box and you rumbled. And that's what shoots us up onto the leaderboard. It's because of you. 174. We need 250 to hit our mark of 2 by the end of this segment. And then I like to come back with triple digits. 222. We'll see. Well, welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. What do you think happens when you radicalize a group of people who've been groomed probably for the last 20 years or so in public education, probably longer? I remember the liberal everything when I was a college student at the University of Colorado in Boulder. I remember looking around and hearing some of the stuff I was listening to the professors say, and I was like, and I was by no means political, but I was absolutely conservative. And I was looking around and I was like, does nobody else pick up on this? This is ridiculous. That was back in 1992. It's nothing new, but they've cranked it up a bit. They turned up the Bunsen burner to full bore. And this is what you get. You get, and Scott Jennings is correct, political vigilantism, this do-goodery complex. These people really believe they're on the right side of everything. Even if they set something on fire, even if they loot, even if somebody dies, well, that's the cost of me being such a good person. It's whack. Listen.
But it strikes me that we are undergoing an epidemic of political vigilantism right now. Why are people showing up in vehicles, in convoys, not just in Minneapolis, but all over the country in an effort to obstruct lawful federal law enforcement activities? This is not an isolated incident. We have had hundreds of car rammings against ICE agents all over the country. According to DHS, this lady in this car today, along with other vehicles, had been tracking ICE agents around. Why are people believing that they can drive their car into a federal law enforcement situation and that is an appropriate thing to do? I understand they don't like the fact that these agents are enforcing existing immigration law, but that's not how we change laws in this country. If you don't like a law, you talk to the politicians. You don't drive your car into the middle of a building or a law enforcement situation that's being occupied by the people who are simply there to enforce the law. If I don't like how much the IRS is charging me in taxes, I don't drive my car into the Treasury Department, try to run somebody over. I call my congressman. Political vigilantism is being encouraged by Democratic officials like the Lieutenant Governor of Minnesota, Peggy Flanagan, who earlier this year told people to, quote, put your bodies on the line, and Tim Walz calling these guys Gestapo all year. What do you think happens when you radicalize a base of people about?
What do you think happens? This happens. Now, we can look at the whole Ashley Babbitt versus this woman yesterday. I'm sorry. I don't care what her name was. And that might be cold. I don't care. She knew better. Ashley Babbitt's crawling through the window, going into the speaker's area, right? In the House of, in the U.S. Capitol building. On the other side of the glass is a Capitol police officer. She's got her hands on the windows. Yes. She's trying to get her foot through. You've seen the picture of her trying to get in. She's unarmed. He shot and killed her. Unarmed woman. What does the left say about that? She knew better. She knew better than to do. What did she think was going to happen? However, when it's a woman in her car trying to take out an ICE officer, whether or not that was her motive, one could only imagine what it would have been. It's the officer's fault. The officer is a murderer. The officer is barbaric. These animals. Oh my gosh. See, the left can't ever take responsibility for the results of its lunacy. The left will never take responsibility for the freaking transgender shooters. They can't. They bury it, they silence it, and they walk away. I want you to hear this woman because she knows everything that's going on. It's important. Social media, folks, wide awake.
As I'm sure you've all seen, there was an ICE-related shooting in Minneapolis today, and there is already an argument underway on whether or not this was justified or this was excessive force. Now, I'm going to play you the slow motion video, but to be clear, this incident did not happen in slow motion for the agent involved. The reverse lights turn off, wheels start spinning forward, at which point the agent makes a split-second decision, pulls his weapon, and shots are fired. While I think the use of lethal force could have been avoided, I don't blame the agent for doing what he did, because while we have slow motion videos that we can sit and pick apart, he was in a tense situation with a car accelerating towards him. Mind you, of course, that a car is legally treated as a deadly weapon if it is used in a way capable of causing bodily harm or death. And while I think the use of lethal force could have been avoided, and I certainly will not celebrate the fact that somebody got shot today, ultimately, that woman put herself in that situation, refused to comply, and then accelerated towards a law enforcement agent who I believe was acting in self-defense. Now, hopefully we don't see the citizens of Minneapolis run a George Floyd 2.0 and burn their city down again, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did.
So this woman, what does she think is going to happen to her? What does she think is going to happen? What did Ashley Babbitt think was going to happen? Oh, these are very different things, we're told. It's very different. No, see, when north is still north, when right is still right, even if you stand alone, right? You don't get to cherry pick whose story benefits your cause better. North is still north. They're both wrong. They're both dead. They both knew better. Okay. Now what? Well, you're going to have all of the hand-wringing. You're going to have a bunch of people like Dan Goldman, who's in Washington, D.C., nowhere near this incident yesterday, who's going to jump in and tell you what happened. That is more dangerous than anything else. That is why the local newspaper in my community, the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, is ceasing operations after how many decades of business? People are tired of the lies. People are tired of being fed one line of a story. She knew better. And now she's dead. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, let's talk about how the officials there handled this mess in Minneapolis and what comes next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. It's so unnecessary. And then just the horrendous, the horrendous video or image, and I know you saw it, of the inside of the van she was driving, and the airbag had deployed. You could tell he shot her. It was a face shot, headshot. Foot on the gas, boom into another car, airbag deploys, and a side view of the FBI processing the vehicle, you could see a completely blood-stained airbag. Like, if I'm not mistaken, she and her wife have a small child. You know better. You know better the minute you're pregnant. You don't eat certain things. You know better. You change how you drive. You change the medications you take. You start living like somebody's depending on you. You make decisions in accordance of that, right? You don't go roll the dice with drunk driving. You don't go out and experiment with wild drugs. When you have a child, you just change.
But if you're liberal, you chug Tylenol.
Make it effing make sense. I want to tell you about Texas Bullion Exchange. I've gotten some intel from folks who say that the cost, the value of silver is going to be out of this world. That all of these batteries and these AI developments and all of this infrastructure we need for what's coming next is so reliant upon metals, and many of them are precious. And yes, silver is at the top of the list. Is that why you should buy gold and silver? I don't know. Maybe you just love gold and silver, because I'm kind of in that spot. Once you start holding it, it's kind of like, ooh, how you doing? Right? And I want to always take it out of the little plastic thing. And they're like, you're not supposed to do that. Don't get your oils. Ah! Oh, look, I just opened it. There is something very nice about holding gold and silver. Beyond that, it's a great investment. It's a wonderful protection for tomorrow. It's a great way to build your wealth, right? And the people I deal with are Texas Bullion Exchange. They're my people, wendylovesgold.com. That's how you get in touch with them. They're fabulous. wendylovesgold.com. When you call this exact number, you see it on the screen, 855-927-5557. They know it's you. And they're like, hi, Wendy Bell Radio person. Who do we have the pleasure of speaking with? We can't wait to do business with you. They love this audience. So they're going to hook you up. wendylovesgold.com. They hook you up with great information and a lot of super, super coins and various collectibles that are extraordinarily rare and valuable. 855-927-5557. Protect your future with gold and silver today. wendylovesgold.com. Look at us, almost 6,200. How you doing?
I went into immediate tinfoil hat mode yesterday.
Did you? Okay, where'd you go?
I thought, because I went home and started watching the hearings, I thought, isn't this funny? This is happening the same times as the hearings.
Well, it's fantastic smokescreen.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And Tim Walz is all about it. But
yeah, now he can have a press conference without a question about him resigning.
Yeah. Enough about the Somalians. Let's talk about ICE. You know, and can we need to have a serious conversation about this police chief. Who's this ass clown? Right? There were no Minneapolis PD. Right? There's a group of agitators. The people in the neighborhood have to realize that something's heating up. You know, at least one of them called 911. Hey! I mean, unlike California, they probably have one that works, right? 911. Hey! There's something going on. There was no local law enforcement there. Oh, ICE didn't tell us they were coming. Oh, bullshit. Knock it off. You think they just roll in? Nobody knows. Nobody knows. It's a giant mystery. 2,000 guys with heavy equipment. Okay. Schmucks. She knew better. She knew better. I've always known better. Right? The one that blindsided me was when I got fired for calling a spade a spade. That's one I didn't expect. I'm like, I'm telling the truth and you're going to fire me for that? Oh, I got it.
Which one was that?
Well, it's true. It is a grab bag of possibilities. The first one.
Oh, because the second one, too.
Well, was that where I was telling people to get killed? Maybe they should shoot people on the street, protesters. Just shoot them.
That's what they said.
Just gun them all down, because that's totally what I would say. It was up there with, you know what? I heard it's super smart to drink bleach.
Yeah.
To treat your COVID. Okay. It's the dumbest thing ever. And now you have a poll. There's a new CBS poll about, or is it? Yeah, I think it is CBS. About American support for taking out Maduro. Man, they got another 90-10 issue that they're losing on. And they don't even have 10. It was like 93-7. Like Smoke City.
Joe Purrs, we're not playing Presley or Summerlee today. They were just obnoxious.
I can't do it.
Yeah.
I can't do it.
They were.
I don't want to hear it. I didn't even want to do James Comer because I think he's way too little too late anyway. I'm so tired of all these schlubs. Our society functions based on laws. There are norms of behavior, things you can do, things you cannot do. This is not complicated. We have law enforcement to make sure people live by certain rules and that we live in an environment that is safe. So when you have a federal agency like Immigrations and Custom Enforcement, whose job is to track down people who've broken our laws to come here illegally, many of whom have harmed American citizens during the course of their trespass. When ICE comes in doing their job to get rid of said people, I'm sorry, it is in nobody's view that you should go out and get in their way. Well, they were emboldened by it being in Portland and being in Seattle and being malignant with Antifa and being like, oh, yeah, outside of the ICE facility. But when you actively stalk agents, and it's these white college-educated liberal chicks, what happened to you? You're such an embarrassment. Because I'm a white college-educated conservative chick, and I've watched you slip away. Tell me, how is it possible that you in Minnesota, in Minneapolis, are protesting ICE when, since Tim Walz became governor, homicides have gone up by 50%? 50. Is that a track record of success? Or do you want the phone call next to be to you? That it's your son or your daughter or your husband? I'm sorry to tell you, no. No. And did you know that ever since President Trump took office in January of last year, Tim Walz has let out 470 dangerous, violent criminals who are out on the streets? In fact, there are 680 of them in his jurisdiction right now that have ICE detainers on them that are eligible to be locked, loaded, deported. See you later. And Tim Walz is not allowing that to happen. I wonder if maybe that's got some weird correlation with the spike in homicides. But that's just me, I don't know, thinking outside the box. I want you to hear Kristi Noem. She confirms, look, this woman who attempted to run over an ICE agent, she had been stalking these agents. She didn't just show up. She wasn't like on her way to to Target and, oh snap, she got behind this caravan of vehicles that had gotten snagged in the snow. And lo and behold, it was a bunch of ICE agents trying to get their vehicles out of the snow. She followed them all day. She followed them. She stalked them. Creepy abso-freaking-lutely. She knew better. Kristi Noem, your Secretary of Homeland Security.
I've spoken to the president today on the situation here on the ground. I also just got off the phone a little while ago with Governor Walz and spoke to him as well. I want to reiterate first with all of you the facts of what happened today. At 10:25 a.m. Central Time, Immigration and Customs Enforcement were carrying out lawful operations here in Minneapolis. Because of the adverse weather that Minneapolis has seen in recent snow, one of the vehicles became stuck and ensnared in the snow. Law enforcement were attempting to push out this vehicle, and when a mob of agitators that were harassing them all day began blocking them in, shouting at them, and impeding law enforcement operations. ICE officers and agents approached the vehicle of the individual in question, who was blocking the officers in with her vehicle, and she had been stalking and impeding their work all throughout the day. ICE agents repeatedly ordered her to get out of the car and to stop obstructing law enforcement, but she refused to obey their commands. She then proceeded to weaponize her vehicle and attempted to run a law enforcement officer over. This appears as an attempt to kill or to cause bodily harm to agents, an act of domestic terrorism. The ICE officer, fearing for his life and the other officers around him and the safety of the public, fired defensive shots. He used his training to save his own life and that of his colleagues. He was treated at a local hospital, has been released, and is now with family.
And New York Congressman Dan Goldman of Suck says that officer should be charged with murder. That he was green. He didn't know what he was doing. Was ill-trained. He shouldn't have been there. He's a murderer. This is Derek Chauvin. They want another Derek Chauvin. They want another George Floyd. Tim Walz will do anything to take the heat off of his butt, right? Overseeing one of the greatest frauds ever executed on the American people through the kindness and the goodness of our tax dollars. And that they've known about it for a decade. Tim Walz is salivating. Please, riot. Please set things on fire. Whoever said protests had to be peaceful, light it up. Oh, so wild that it's Minneapolis again with the same feckless losers in charge. This is what you get. Kristi Noem continues. Look, this whole ramming by vehicle, death, progressive Marxist, communist, socialist whackery by vehicle, it's got to end because it's crazy. Listen to this.
Today alone in this country, there have been 4 different domestic terrorist attacks on federal officers by the ramming of vehicles. 3 of them happened here in Minneapolis. We've seen over 100 of these vehicle rammings happen in just recent weeks, and this must stop. ICE alone is facing a 1,300% increase in assaults against them and an 8,000% increase in death threats against all of them. In fact, the very same officer who was attacked today had previously been dragged by an anti-ICE rioter who had rammed him with a car and drug him back in June. He sustained injuries at that time as well. And let me remind you why we're all here in this city today and why we've been here. In communities across this country and here in Minneapolis, we're just enforcing the laws that we have in this country. For years under President Biden, tens of millions of dangerous criminal illegal aliens, terrorists, and suspected terrorists were allowed to invade our country over our southern border. They were allowed to steal, to defraud, and to perpetuate violence against American citizens. Regardless of who your mayor or who your governor is, President Trump promised every single American that he would make America safe again.
Think about all of the people out there. Think about the Cori Bushes. Think about the Summer Lees. Think about the AOCs and Ayanna Presleys and the Ilhan Omars out there. Defund the police. The police are the problem. We should have let everybody do whatever they want. Take whatever you want. I don't care. The police are the problem. Because that always works. It's despicable. It's obvious. And finally, Kristi Noem says, look, the people who are obviously now being trained to use their vehicles as weapons against law enforcement, this is where things become really dark. Go.
You know, people need to stop using their vehicles as weapons. This domestic act of terrorism to use your vehicle to try to kill law enforcement officers is going to stop. And I'm asking the Department of Justice to prosecute it as domestic terrorism because it's clear that it's being coordinated. People are being trained and told how to use their vehicles to impede law enforcement operations and then to run over anybody who gets in their way while they go out there and try to disrupt peace and public safety. And Americans deserve better.
Americans deserve better. So wait a minute. People are being trained. You've got these whack jobs on the street who are being trained to ram, basically make themselves sacrificial lambs for a news splash. Because this chick who died in Minneapolis, she'll be a news splash. We'll move on from her in no time, probably by the end of today, which is sad. This is a woman on the ground, a witness who says she knows that the woman who died was doing what she was supposed to do, what she was trained to do. This was planned. Listen.
They clearly wanted her out of there because she was the main car leading the protest, is my understanding. I talked to another guy who was driving behind her, but she was very successful in blocking traffic. She was doing what she was set out to do, and so they wanted to get her the hell out of there. Yeah.
So it looked like she was impeding ICE vehicles.
Definitely, yeah.
Okay.
That was her goal.
That was her goal. I don't know what made her try to gun it, but she knew better, and now she's dead. And I'm not sorry about that. I'm sorry for the child. She knew better. Here's Tim Walz. He doesn't blame anybody except ICE, of course. Look, I'm trying to really tone down the amount of just incessant filth that comes out of these people's mouths. I don't know what's wrong with Tim Walz. I don't know if he's just functionally less than, which is why he's, I don't know, so comfortable with the Somalian community. IQ of what? 67, right? I don't know what his story is, but everything he says is garbage, hook, line, and sinker. It infuriates me. And I have to be very careful about the things I'm going to share with you because I want to reach through the camera, grab his throat, and throw him down the stairs. It is so frustrating to hear such disingenuous breakdown of tragedy. Listen.
This happened a couple of hours ago, and we're already pitting American against American. All of you saw a video in your eyes. We have a chaotic situation caused by the largest deployment in American history of federal agents into a community with no communication to locals. We had a chaotic situation where an individual is in their car shot and killed. And so, look, I want to be very cautious here because Donald Trump will make this about me. He will make this about politics. This is about public safety, and this is about normalcy. To Americans who are watching this, if you're in Portland or you're in LA or you're in Chicago or you're wherever they're coming next, stand with us. Stand with us against this. This was so preventable.
Because she knew better, Tim, and so did you. You knew better than to let the Somalians rip you off since 2019. You jerk. How dare you stand there and finger wag anybody and point fingers anywhere? And by the way, blaming law enforcement doing their job because you guys opened up the border and flooded our cities with people like the 35-year-old Guatemalan rapist of children who that agent who shot and killed a woman yesterday was trying to arrest when he got dragged a few weeks ago. How dare you, Governor Walz? You did get your smoke screen, but you're not out of the hot seat because all of the fraud in your state is under your watch. He's not done. One final comment from the failed governor of Minnesota. He says he will activate the National Guard if ICE doesn't leave. Really? Governor Walz, I mean, I know you lied about your valor and all that, right? I mean, you might not know better, but that's dangerous. You're playing war games. Listen.
And from here on, I have a very simple message. We do not need any further help from the federal government. To Donald Trump and Kristi Noem, you've done enough. There's nothing more important than Minnesotan safety. I've issued a warning order to prepare the Minnesota National Guard. We have soldiers in training and prepared to be deployed if necessary. I remind you, a warning order is a heads up for folks. And these National Guard troops are our National Guard troops. They're teachers in your community. They're business owners. They're construction professionals. They are Minnesotans. Minnesota will not allow our community to be used as a prop in a national political fight. We will not take the bait. We will continue to update you, Minnesota, as we get more information.
Wow. I mean, honest to goodness, wow. Was there any part of that was redeemable? No? But you know what? This is the result of letting people believe that the police are Nazis, right? Let's talk a little bit about that as they hope for a George Floyd 2.0 to distract from the Somalians. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network.
I hope Trump federalizes the National Guard in Minnesota. That would be epic.
Would he just take him from the governor and make it federal? Mm-hmm.
Because that's the only way to stop Tim Walz. That's the only way to stop the narrative of a civil war. I'd like to say to him, if I'm Trump, fine. I'm going to take your words, Tim. You don't need the federal government. You're not getting SNAP. You're not getting any of that because you don't need us.
Nope. 100%. All right, you guys, if there's one thing I talk about that I love on this program, it is bloodflow7.com. And it is by Juvenon. And so when they asked me if I would be interested in trying it, I was like, yeah, I want to try it before I obviously talk about it, because if you say it improves your blood flow by more than 250% in 3 hours, that doesn't mean anything to me. I don't care. Now, if you tell me something helps me lose 5 pounds in 2 weeks, now that's something I can prove. Blood flow, and then they send me all these talking points. Why does this matter? What does this do for you, right? Boosts this, enhances your strength and your stamina, promotes better sleep, boosts confidence and sexual drive among men, blah, 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 balances hormone, all these things that this can do. Oh, yeah, in conjunction with opening up your arteries and blood vessels so you have more blood flowing through your body. This is the real deal. Every single day I take it. Every day I will not stop. And I have a little bit of a stash right now, which is great. Makes me feel better. Bloodflow7.com/Wendy. Alpha Gold Male is the gentleman's formula. All my sons are all on this right now. I would not give it to my children if I wasn't going to say to you, I think you should try it. If you're, let's just say you're 40 or above, right? And you start to change and you start to be like, and your stamina and all of that. Try Alpha Gold Male. Go to bloodflow7.com. Give it a week. Shoot, you'll feel the effects in a day, but certainly in 3 days. Give it a week. See what you think. Bloodflow7.com/Wendy. I freaking love it.
Who else thought that when I heard Tim Walz say that, I'm like, Seditious Six. What did they say?
You can resist.
He's dangerous. He's 100% dangerous. Calling this straight up murder.
You know, I would never celebrate anybody getting killed. I think it's horrible, right? I don't want people to die. I don't want people to hurt. I don't want people to get vandalized. I don't believe in riots, all of that stuff. George Floyd was a different story. If we're allowed to tell...
He knew better. Sucking up fentanyl, putting a gun to a pregnant woman, you knew better. Passing off fake bills, you knew better. You piece of shit. Yeah.
George Floyd knew better, and they martyred him. They martyred him. What a lousy murder.
And look at all the offshoots. The Black Lives Matter
all
Patricia
that crap.
Cullors.
Mm-hmm. She's a criminal, right? She siphoned off all those funds to buy 4 nice houses.
Bobblehead Al Sharpton. How much money did he siphon off?
Mm-hmm.
Dirtbag.
All of them, yeah. Hey, can we get to, we're so desperate. We need to get that 3,000. Need to get to 3,000 rumbles here. We need 600 people. Holy moly, that's a lot.
Don't leave her hanging.
That's a lot. But if you don't normally rumble, it's right underneath me. There's a bubble, thumbs up, thumbs down, hit it, and then follow us. Follow us. There's that follow button. It's cheap and easy. You know, the flip side of all of this, I think that this is the most telling result of all of this. I mean, think about our kids. So I have age 25 down to 17. During the course of their childhood, now they were somewhat insulated from the public school teachings, that I think are very different than what you get in a Catholic private parochial setting. They didn't learn about all of this rewriting of history. They weren't taught that they should be embarrassed by their skin color, that they owed somebody an apology, that they owed somebody they didn't know, that they never harmed, some kind of a monetary reward for something that happened years and years ago that has nothing to do with them. They weren't told to be ashamed of the history of this country. They weren't behind the idea that we should remove statues and Confederate figures and that we should try to blow up the past of America and write a new chapter for us. No, that's not. A lot of the people who are out on the front lines protesting things because they feel like that's what they're supposed to do are products of that system. The system has failed magnificently, which is a huge part of why Donald Trump blew up the Department of Education. It does not work. Look at your results. Look at the caliber of students you're now failing into college because you got nowhere to put them, right? Many of them got that whole Nazi propaganda every night on CNN and MSNBC. Here's Scott Jennings.
The governor of Minnesota and the mayor of Minneapolis have weighed in and effectively called this guy a murderer. They don't know that. I mean, there's obviously two points of view, and I assume there's going to be more facts that we're all going to learn in the days and weeks ahead. But it's pretty apparent this guy was standing in front of a vehicle and somebody accelerated it at him. How this shakes out in the legal system, I don't know. I do know this. The president's been a strong proponent of standing up for these ICE agents and other federal law enforcement who have been, in fact, under assault from protesters since he took office and instructed them to simply enforce federal immigration law. And we have seen, in my opinion, a lot of irresponsible rhetoric over the year from Democratic officials like Tim Walz who have called them Gestapo and murderers and everything else. And so there are consequences to that kind of language, and I think we're seeing that play out today.
Citizen journalist Nick Sorter is on the ground in Minneapolis, and he's on with Will Kane yesterday. And Will is asking about business owners in the Minneapolis area sphinctering up, worried about a George Floyd 2.0, worried about boarding up. What's going to happen? This is the exchange. Fascinating.
I have to wonder how the homeowners feel after seeing what happened to the storefronts and businesses of Minnesota just 6 years ago, less than 6 years ago, how those homeowners in that area
we're
feel.
only blocks away from where the George Floyd situation happened, where if you still go there nowadays, the buildings are still charred. There's still, I mean, it still looks like total destruction, just like it did back then. It's never recovered. And people are worried that that's going to happen again. And all signs point to them wanting it to happen again. They want this to devolve even more. You have Tim Walz on TV alluding to this being a murder, as well as the mayor with his inflammatory rhetoric on TV. Why? Because there is no better way for them to distract from the billions and billions of dollars worth of fraud that we've been here on the ground uncovering over the past 2 weeks. It's the best way for Tim Walz to finally be able to talk about something else and bury it.
100% correct. You know, and not only do they want a George Floyd 2.0, they want a Derek Chauvin 2.0. They need another victim, or they need another bad guy. They need another knee on the neck. You know, George Floyd knew better. He knew better the day he died. He knew better the days he broke the law. He knew better when he tried to pass fake counterfeit currency at a store. He knew better when he broke into a woman's house with friends and put his gun to a pregnant woman's belly. He knew better when he started ingesting a toxic cocktail of drugs that day. George Floyd would be alive today. He knew better. He made the wrong decisions. It is the desperate plea for another Derek Chauvin. Don't take the bait. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. You talk about a story, Derek Chauvin. They did to Derek Chauvin and George Floyd what they did to the January 6ers. They created this alternate universe of what happened and why it happened and how it happened and the result of it happening. And along their fantastic journey, they are always the victims, right? There's always some mean monster out there coming for them. And they're just hapless watchers. And it happens and it's just got to stop. And it's like, or you cannot be a douche, right? There's no reason you need to be out marching in the streets in Minneapolis. If you are, you're part of a malignant fringe of your group, right? They call us MAGA extremists. How many MAGA extremists do you know who go loot and riot and ruin things? It's like I said, the safest place you could ever be is at like an NRA convention or somewhere where people can open carry because you know it's never left on the ground. There's no garbage. People don't leave stuff around. They pick up after themselves. They're aware. Everybody knows everybody else is armed. Nobody gets out of line, right? That's what we need in this country. I'm going to say it. We need way more guns. People are like, you shouldn't say that. Yeah, I should. Everybody should walk around with a gun on their hip. Because if you have a gun and I have a gun, and you know I can kill you as fast as you can kill me, you might not try to do something to fiddle with me. Sounds like twisted logic. I like it, though. All right, let me tell you about Dr. Rafferty, Dr. Richard Rafferty. I really hope that Brock does not have to see him. He's learning that he's got like a disc issue and he's probably got one that's out of place. 4 out of 5 of us. He just turned 50. Like, this is the reality. 4 out of 5 of us are going to need a spinal expert in the course of our lives. Dr. Rafferty is a great one. And I'm so blessed that we live in the environment in which, if Brock needed to, he could get that therapy. He could go through intradisc neutrosis. Mercifully for him, for my friend, he doesn't have to yet. There are other things that can happen for him. But if you're at that point where the red light therapy isn't working, the chiropractor's adjustments aren't working, the shots aren't working, you cannot live in this pain anymore. Call the Disc Institute of Pittsburgh, 412-906-9600. PittsburghDiscInstitute.com. Ask about the non-surgical treatment. They don't cut into you. They help heal you. Your discs grow back. It's crazy. 412-906-9600. But it works. It works. I wouldn't be with Doc for literally, we've been with him for 5 years. 5 years. That's amazing. And I might as well, since I'm talking about them, since I'm talking about Doc, I'll talk about the other Doc, Dr. Simkovich. There are just a couple people you need in your life to make sure that when you need to make that phone call, you know who to reach. And I remember when Christopher, my son, got hit by a car and we had to keep a really close eye on him because of concussion, right? And so mercifully, he didn't seem to be long-term phased. But I guarantee you, if I took my son Chris and put him in Dr. Simkovich's office, Doc Simkovich would put his hands in his mouth and feel his soft palate and fiddle with his sphenoid process and move his head and pull his ear and do some adjustments. That could possibly, who knows, right? If we could all get one of these adjustments every year. If you have a traumatic brain injury, if you have essential tremor, if you have chronic headaches, if you've gotten some kind of a TBI and you know you're not right, you can get right in like a week. He's so great. 412-366-3700. SimkovichConcussionInstitute.com.
Did you want me to find a clip?
No, it's fine. Mm-mm.
Calling him the Gestapo, which Tim Walz has done how many times? It's the same thing. Everybody knows what it means.
It's a dog whistle.
Yep.
It's a dog whistle, you know? And there is no world in which what the Democrats do, what they say, how they behave, what their initiatives are, how they go about them. I simply don't see how a rational person looks at that and says, those are my people. I'd like to trade in some Marjorie Taylor Greene, Thomas Massey, Rand Paul. I could go longer than that. John Thune, Lindsey Graham, all of these clowns who are Republicans. I don't think they represent me.
Dean Crenshaw.
But I look at the Democrat Party in total, and I'm like, I really don't get what you get out of that. Is it some bleeding heart liberal crowd of do-gooders who really believe like, oh, it's up to us to save the world? I really am that special. Yeah, there's a lot of that. And I think there's a deep insecurity. There's a deep-seated, there's something missing in that double helix.
Think about it. You're dying for people you've never met that are criminals, that are here illegally.
This guy raped a child. Who the ICE agent who shot the woman yesterday was first dragged by was some goon from Guatemala who was a freaking rapist.
I mean, how many of you out there, if you knew someone that did that, you'd call the police? Be like, hello.
You wouldn't go actively subvert the police, right? You're
Dude's
not allowed
touching
to
kids.
Yeah. Can we full stop that? Can we all agree that that's wrong?
Apparently not.
I mean, it doesn't seem like it needs to be negotiated, but a lot of people, I don't get it. I don't get the sexualizing of children. That's disgusting.
I see a lot of people play stupid game, win stupid prizes. No kidding.
I don't understand it. I just don't understand it. Good gravy. Some people just have to have some hoo-ha cut off. You try to rape a child?
Don't stop with that.
Hmm?
Don't stop with the hoo-ha.
Hmm.
1. Wendy Bell. Inspiring solutions to save America, one show at a time. Are you ready to get on board?
They believe that they can destroy this bond that exists between you and Trump if they somehow make Trump look bad, make Trump look like a reprobate, embarrass you about Trump. They can't do it because you came before Trump. Desperately want Trump gone, and I know that they desperately want it codified, that Trump cannot run again, because make no mistake, they remain scared to death of you, and they remain scared to death of Trump. Trump, 75 million, 80 million votes. And I'm going to tell you, you're not going anywhere. Even if Trump does, you're not. Which I think remains one of our big campaign strengths going forward. Separate you from Make America Great Again.
From sea to shining sea, 3 hours of bold truth and excellence. The Wendy Bell Radio Program.
Welcome back. Hour number 2 of the Wendy Bell Radio Program is live. Watching some of this stuff from Minneapolis yesterday. And it just brought back so many of the memories from George Floyd more than 5 years ago, right? And the whole idea that George Floyd was a completely preventable situation. And it was another one of those examples of how Democrats cherry pick their victims and their heroes. In nobody's world is George Floyd a hero. And if you've read any of the autopsy, if you've followed the actual reporting on this story, and now Derek Chauvin has asked for a new trial, if you've paid attention to what's going on, Derek Chauvin did not kill George Floyd. The maneuver he used was widely taught and was in the manuals at the Minneapolis Police Department. Those manuals, interestingly online, had those pages oddly disappear. It is a textbook maneuver. And from the angle that it was captured, made it look like Officer Chauvin's knee was on George Floyd's neck. It was not. George Floyd died because George Floyd knew better. And he made a series of god-awful decisions that ended in his death. Now, you can blame everything in the world. You can blame that he had a lousy father. I know nothing about George Floyd. I'm going to tell you right away, everything I'm saying, I'm making up. You can tell me he has a lousy father, or his mom walked out on the family. You can tell me that something happened to him and he might have been fiddled with as a child. You can tell me that he got picked up and was in jail and learned how to do drugs. You could tell me he was in a gang and that's the way he survived, because where he lived, it was so bad he had no other way. You could blame a million things. Except Democrats never want to blame George freaking Floyd. The Democrats will never blame this woman who, for whatever reason, decided to put her car into reverse, slam it into drive, hit the gas, and then got shot and killed. It'll never be her fault. She'll be some hapless bystander. She'll be yet another part of the collateral damage of that awful dictator, Donald Trump. Donald Trump, who everybody now is like, oh, he wants Venezuela's oil because he wants it for us. We're going to steal all of their oil. Why do we need Venezuela's oil? We have more oil than we know what to do with, right? We're going to chew on that whole Venezuela, and also Greenland coming up in hour number 3. So hang tight for that. But look, George Floyd, he was nobody's hero. He was elevated because he was a wonderful, convenient Democrat talking point. And what's the talking point? Black people are discriminated against by white people. Now, CNN never reported that per capita, per person, right? When you look at 16% of America is black, except they commit what? 60-odd, 70% of the crime? We're not going to talk about that. We're just going to say that white people don't like black people, and therefore they hurt them. They're racist inherently. It's baked into who you are. It's part of your privilege to accept it and then open up your wallet for reparations. No. I reject all of that. See, I teach my sons, you have personal responsibility. Don't come running to mommy to bail you out. If you decide to drive home from a party and you get arrested for DUI, I'm not wheeling and dealing on behalf with some lawyer who's going to try to get you off. You're on your own. You know better. George Floyd knew better, and so did that woman. So if Minneapolis is seriously the Democratic Party's last stand, they need for things to get heated in a hurry there. They need things to devolve quickly. Because you got a couple thousand federal agents on the ground, you're going to need a lot more than that protest-wise if you want to make this thing truly light up, which is disgusting. Well, that sure would be something that Tim Walz would like. I want you to hear Jeffrey Mead. I like Jeffrey. He's one of these guys who takes clips that other people have, and this one happens to be a clip of the Minneapolis mayor, Jacob Fry, telling ICE to go F themselves. All right, now, I don't know what leads a mayor to go on live television and use that kind of language. It's classless. But he did. And then Jeffrey Mead responds with a beautiful response. But basically, you realize how dumb you sound. Listen.
I can say again that'll make this situation better, but I do have a message for our community, for our city, and I have a message for ICE. To ICE, get the out of Minneapolis. We do not want you here. Your stated reason for being in this city is to create some kind of safety, and you are doing exactly the opposite. People are being hurt. Families are being ripped apart. Long-term Minneapolis residents that have contributed so greatly to our city, to our culture, to our economy are being terrorized, and now somebody is dead.
So in other words, don't enforce federal immigration law in Minneapolis. Let people come into the country illegally, let them come into Minneapolis illegally, and let them stay in Minneapolis illegally. We don't want the laws enforced here. We want these people to come into this area illegally so they can count for census numbers and increase, Minnesota's federal power at the state level when it comes to apportionment. By enforcing federal immigration law, you're breaking up families. The whole thing is backwards. But again, this is the modern Democratic Party. Imagine a parent drops her kid off at school and then gets mad at a teacher because that teacher won't let that kid skip class, not turn in assignments, and talk the whole class. That's essentially what he's doing. He's mad at our federal law enforcement for enforcing our federal immigration laws. And he puts more focus on attacking the administration for enforcing our laws than he does his own citizens for breaking the laws and obstructing federal law enforcement. The man is backwards. But again, this is the modern Democratic Party today, backwards. He should be telling his people, do not obstruct, stay out of their way, let them do their jobs. Hell, the police force in Minneapolis should be helping ICE do their jobs when it's warranted. But he's going to do the exact opposite. So he's actually a major cause or a major contributor to this problem. He's contributing to the ideologies, to the belief systems that make people think they need to go out there and they think it's okay to go out there and obstruct ICE and cause problems and break the law. It's backwards. And again, this is why I say I don't understand how people take Democrats seriously in today's day and age. It doesn't make sense to me. He is siding with criminals who come into our country illegally and who commit crimes outside of our country and inside of our country. He's siding with criminals over the federal government enforcing our laws. This mayor is a joke. Absolutely be telling people to not obstruct, stay out of the way, and let ICE do. If he truly wants to keep people in Minneapolis safe, that's what he would do. But he's not really doing that. He wants to focus on demonizing the federal government again for enforcing our immigration laws. It's stupid.
Beyond that, not only do you have a mayor and a governor doing that, you've got a Democrat in the House of Representatives named Dan Goldman, who was not there, who did not see it, but who's able to weigh in on it and spread these dangerous lies. Listen to this.
Invading our cities, using excessive force lawlessly with new agents without proper training. And sadly, this was not unexpected, but it is egregious. It was an outright murder. And the fact that the administration is trying to defend the ICE officer when everyone can see with their own eyes that that car was trying to get away because it still turned away from the officer after she was shot in the head. So the fact that they are arguing that somehow this is domestic terrorism, much less an attack on ICE, is preposterous. This officer not only needs to be fired and suspended, but based on the video, he needs to be charged with murder.
And do you think that will happen?
I have no idea what will happen.
I have no idea what will happen, but I'm going to sit here and tell you what I think about it. I'm going to tell you what I think should happen. He should be charged with murder. Now, you want to know how propaganda sinks down to the lowest common denominator? Because you're about to hear it right now. Here is a woman, a white, college-educated, liberal chick who has taken that ball and is running with it and is lying to her social media followers. Listen.
Horrifying, but fully expected news out of Minnesota today. ICE agents in Minneapolis shot and killed an unarmed female American citizen. Shot her in the face and killed her. ICE were raiding some neighborhood and a woman was in her car and they told her to leave and she was complying with them and driving away, and an ICE agent pulled the trigger and shot her in the face, point blank range. Trump and Kristi Noem and Tom Homan are waging war on American citizens the same way they're waging war on the rest of the world, and this administration is fucking insane. In the words of the Minneapolis mayor just now, ICE needs to get the out of Minnesota. In my words right now, Trump needs to get the out of DC. This whole administration is bat crazy and they need to be over with.
Wow. See, that's what you get. That's what happens when you tell people that they have privilege. That's what happens when you tell people they're inherently racist. That's what happens when you tell people that Donald Trump is a Nazi. That's what happens when people who know better don't act better. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, House Oversight is now initiating a big meeting about Minnesota's fraud. We saw part of it yesterday. We'll tell you what happened. It was a lot of reindeer gangs, more disgusting antics on Capitol Hill. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. That woman comes on convicted. This is what happened. I'm not there any more than Dan Goldman is there, right? She was trying to get away, and they shot her. Well,
yeah, she acted like she said, "Okay, let me out."
About that, it's not like she rolled down her window and was like, "I'm just trying to take my toddler to daycare." She was like, judging from what we could see and judging from the pattern of her behavior all day long. What are we thinking? All right.
On top of that, real quick, all these people breaking it down in slow motion, you don't have a chance to go in slow motion. He has to react. And even if he shoots from the side, because I think he took 2 or 3 shots, and gets it from the side, what makes me think that there's not another ICE agent she could run over, or a pedestrian, or another protester? It's ridiculous.
When Darren Dubiak, our friend, got in touch with us and told us he was putting out something that he was very excited about. He has been working on it for months, and he's like, I haven't talked to you guys in a while, but I want to drop this on you, and I'd really like you to help me let it be known to your audience that such a service exists. So there were all sorts of scandals with some other genetic testing companies, information that was leaked or sold or what have you, and it ended up being a nightmare. And Dr. Dubiak has partnered with a company that's doing extensive, expansive genetic testing, like beyond what you and I could imagine, offering it to you for a really reasonable cost and making it as easy as possible for you to get in on this. There's no blood. You don't have to draw any blood. You just have to swab the inside of your mouth with a little Q-tip, right? And you pop it in a tube and send it away. And several weeks later, you get the results of this DNA panel, which is, literally it comes in this box. So you go to bodybyAIM360.com and it literally, it comes in here, and this is the directions. It's like, first you're going to do this. Collections, right? This is what it does. You put it in here, and then you stick it in a bag, and you put it in here, and everything is included. All of it's included. This is where the little swabby comes, and you follow the directions. Stick it in the mail. Out it goes. And in a couple of weeks, you get your results back, and then you're like, oh my goodness. And it's 37 pages. It is extensive. And so what Dr. Dubiak is doing, which I think is crazy, but it's so smart, he's giving you his $79 consultation this week, if you get it this week, for free. So for $499, you get the kit. This comes directly to you, and you can go online. I think there's a QR code. You can order it right there online, bodybyAIM360.com. $499, but this week included in that is your free consultation. So he's going to go over your results, or one of his associates will, which is hugely helpful. Look, don't ask questions about your future. Know what it looks like. It's phenomenal. I found out not only am I at risk for diabetes, which is odd, but that I have negative risk for being obese.
Yeah, not me.
Which is interesting. It's all about what you got from your folks, right? You make choices, sure, about what you eat and what have you, but you have what you have. You have a much slower metabolism than I. Mine's faster. That's helpful. I don't do anything with that. But it's such a fascinating study. You guys will love it. Love it. It's expensive, but it's not what it would cost if you went somewhere else. That's what kills me. You get so much more. To answer questions about fraud going on in the state. And of course, all eyes on Minnesota, you guys. It's all about Minneapolis. This is the central nervous system of scams. It is so curious that this is, of course, where all of this counter-protesting stuff is going on. It's almost like they need a smokescreen. It's almost like they need a January 6th to cover up the theft of the 2020 election. For every Democrat point, there's a counterpoint, right? There's always a scheme and a strategy, and really a very indiscriminate concern about who gets squished in the middle as the collateral damage. Whether it's this lady in Minneapolis, Ashley Babbitt, George Floyd, you fill in the blank. Fraud in the state of Minnesota was in the national spotlight Wednesday on Capitol Hill. 3 Minnesota lawmakers testified in front of the House Oversight Committee, including state representative and GOP gubernatorial candidate Kristen Robbins, along with state representatives Walter Hudson and Marion Rarick. All 3 Republican lawmakers are members of the Fraud Prevention and State Agency Oversight Policy Committee in the Minnesota House, which Robbins chairs. All right, before we even get started on this, anybody on House Oversight, Republican or Democrat, who pretends that this hasn't been a known problem for more than a decade should shut the hell up, okay? Because it has been documented. Liz Cullen, when she worked for, I don't know if it was WCCO or what it was in Minneapolis, back in the day around George Floyd, she reported on this stuff. People were begging you to pay attention. Where were you, Congress? What were you doing? Right? This is what was said. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz and Attorney General Keith Ellison have either been asleep at the wheel or complicit in a massive fraud involving taxpayer dollars, blah, blah, that's Comer. Ranking Democratic committee member Robert Garcia agreed we should fight fraud, but claimed some of the worst fraud was happening in the Trump White House. Right? Dude, focus. Focus. Somalians robbing people blind. These people have a 67 average IQ. These are not rocket scientists. Who is helping them? Well, up until yesterday, it seemed nobody cared. And Democrats yesterday did everything they could to blame it on Donald Trump, because everything gets blamed on Donald Trump. We're going to hear a little bit of the sound here. This is Byron Donalds literally walking out. Congressman from Florida running for Florida governor. He's disgusted, totally disgusted. I haven't seen him like this. Listen.
Back in Washington, just left the oversight hearing on Minnesota. I mean, this thing is crazy. You have the governor and his team going after whistleblowers, state employees trying to do the right thing in Minnesota to explain the fraud that was happening, to get it under control. And it looks like Governor Walz, the lieutenant governor, the attorney general, Keith Ellison, not only did they know about it, they were trying to protect the fraud to continue. These fraudsters were donating campaign cash to the governor and the attorney general. The whistleblowers who were coming forward were threatened. Their jobs were threatened. Their careers were threatened. And then we find out that the fraudsters were buying property in Kenya and Turkey, sending money back to Somalia. The money going back to Somalia could potentially have fallen into the hands of Al-Shabaab, the Al-Qaeda affiliates in Somalia. Absolute crazy stuff. And the funny thing is, I don't even think it's just Minnesota. I think we just found out about it in Minnesota. I think it's happening in other states too. And it may not just be the Somalian community, but other parts of the country where these programs, American people are just being defrauded. I think the bigger thing is we gotta, up here, we gotta put real teeth into these spending items. If we're gonna put money into a lot of these programs, there need to be hard audit requirements, eligibility requirements. Obviously, there's criminal charges if there's wire fraud, but I think if you have elected officials who know about this stuff and we find out they know, they need to be brought up on conspiracy charges because they're defrauding the American taxpayer too. One thing I know about this town, there's always a new day and a new crazy here in Washington. I think that's why people are more frustrated than anything else, because there's no common sense here. And when you try to bring it and put into these bills, the Democrats don't want to hear it. The only time they ever want to talk about accountability is when it favors them politically, and that's really upsetting.
See, he's off on one small thing here. We're not frustrated. We're done. Do you hear us, Congressman? Oh my gosh. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, let's talk about this House oversight hearing on Minnesota's massive fraud. And Tim Wells really doesn't want you talking about some of the clips you should hear next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. Brock was telling me he watched. You watched this hearing yesterday?
Yeah. Most of it.
Yeah, I did not. I have a very low tolerance. And I said to him, I'm like, he said, did you hear so-and-so? And I'm like, I can't. He's like, I can't either. I can't either. It's so off-putting. It's like Jacob Fry dropping the F-bomb on live television. There are just some things you don't do. There's some things that are just off the table. And that's not because you're a prude or otherwise. It's because it's classy. Do you have anybody in your life who swears a lot? I have a couple. I do if I drink too much. And so I have to be careful. Joe's like, watch what you're talking about. I'm like, or watch what I'm drinking. But I have a couple friends and some are just potty mouths.
I'm a potty mouth.
And it's just like, stop. You have to be able to gauge the environment. Right? If you're around people who don't care, but if you're around children, I mean, come on. If you're around, you know your environment and there's just no filter. It's just like F this and F that. And I'm like, holy mackerel, I'm not a prude. But almost your use of that makes me figure out that you're not that intelligent because there are a lot of other words you could be using. Anyway, I digress. The healthy fat, MCT Wellness. I am drinking mine. I'm going to tell you in terms of hunger, sheer hunger and cravings, I'm good for 5 to 6 hours, right? If you could get through a chunk of time, maybe when you would normally have breakfast or lunch, 5 to 6 hours. So not hungry, not dreaming about something sweet to eat or something salty. And you just go about your day. And then all of a sudden you look at the clock and you're like, oh my gosh, I haven't really eaten a whole lot today. You can have a sensible dinner. You know, they just did the food pyramid again. Shocker. It's a lot of fruits and vegetables, whole grains, not that many of them, but right. You can lose a lot of weight and lose your cravings at the same time. That's one of the things I like about Dr. Gundry's drink mix. It's called MCT Wellness, but you get it by going to thehealthyfat.com/Wendy. And I'm telling you, 5 or 6 hours, that's a meal. You can eat breakfast, drink it at like 10 o'clock in the afternoon, literally come all the way around the clock to 3 or 4 o'clock when you're starting to make dinner or do whatever you're doing. Who knows? It's my schedule. Skip a meal. No wonder Dr. Gundry lost 70 pounds, right? So that's a great deal. And this is very delicious. Take Lean also is one of these products, but thehealthyfat.com/Wendy. That's where you should go right now. Watch the video. It's super informative. And he gives you a great deal on the drink. And there's 3 flavors. All 3 are fantastic. The blueberry's the best, but they're all delicious. And that's what I'm drinking every day. It's weird because we come in and I've already had my coffee for the day. So I'm not going to sit down and have a cup of coffee with you guys anymore. That's one of those weird things. I'm like, I'm going to have to find a new thing to do with you. Right?
I have to get you hooked on iced coffee. Iced coffees.
We're limping ever closer to 3.0 rumbles. Hi, Sherry. What's going on, Mr. Black Dog? Hi, Q-Fish. Hi, Hoodoo. Varmint Mist. Hi, good morning. Hi, Esky. Hi, Learn Pro. Hi, Beebs. It's good to see you, Angel Joy.
No, it's lunchtime. Can we drink beer while we're doing this?
I wouldn't, but you could. Well, who am I kidding? I would, but no, I wouldn't.
Right.
No.
Put it in my mug and you'd never know.
Right.
So
No,
I stopped pushing the wrong buttons.
No, I would know because you'd have to get up and go to the bathroom 47 times. Hey, who's saying hello to me? Hi, Boston guy. Hi, Froggy. It's good to see you, Russ. Hi, Armageddon. What's going on, Tiedman? Hi, Vipers. Love you back, babe. Love you back. Hi, Obi-Wan. I love you too. Greetings from Cranberry, says Resvis. Hi, Rosebud. Did I already say it, Rosebud?
Wait, Toolsy says, I have a bunch of my buddies watching. That's probably fake news. He doesn't have many friends. But they're too nervous to chat.
Why?
Yeah, why?
Jump in here. I want to know. Who is it? Ray Deb says, love that I can listen more regularly now. Thank you. Hey, Sharks. Yo, from California. What's going on, babe? Where's everybody from? Who's the farthest away, do you think?
Producers booth.
Somebody clearly is going to be like, I'm from Altoona. And I'll be like, well, that's not that far away. But thank you. I'm so glad you are. Beautiful blouse. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Oh, Tiedman saying hi to Toolsy.
Toolsy's telling you.
Sorry, everyone. I freaked, but some things burn my... Oh, okay. Oh, were you getting fussy, Nurse Lisa? You're allowed. It's okay. Speedwell, Tennessee. Say hello. Hello, Oliver. Hi. Oliver Pinion. Hi. It's great to see you. You're from the People's Republic of Illinois. Enheims. Thank you. Yes. Hi, Elevator Jim. It's good to see you back. Let's see. Esky, I love you back, babe. I want to raid our clothes closet. I don't know what that means, but that's okay. Hey, Wendy, says Janae. Hi, baby.
Hi.
Myron says you don't have to go until you tap it. You have to go potty. Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. So the House Oversight Committee, I don't know how you guys feel about this. You know, I believe that House Oversight has a terrific purpose. But the wheels of all of this stuff, I'm like, look, I can listen faster than you can talk. Let's go. I'm so done with the back and forth and this is theatrical performance where you have low IQ people on both sides who are like reclaiming my time, or they behave like boobs and they interrupt. It's so rude. It is so attack. It is so unbecoming. It's off-putting, right? I mean, I think we should be able to agree. Shouldn't the people who are serving on these committees, regardless of the letter after their name, shouldn't you, I'm just going to go. I know this is really weird. I know. Just work with me on this. Hang with me on this. Shouldn't they all be working together? Shouldn't they care about America first? Shouldn't they worry about you more than freaking criminals and illegal aliens? Shouldn't they want to secure the border, bring down costs? Shouldn't they want to do things in other parts of the world that are strategic to us and to the Western Hemisphere? Oh my gosh. Can you ever get one of these idiots to be authentic? Do they know what that's like? You know, politicians, they're always about getting the next vote, pressing the flesh, hugging the baby. Doesn't somebody just want somebody who doesn't suck, who's authentic? Who's like, look, I'm not the smartest person in the world, but I'm not going to rob you. And I'm not going to vote on something that's going to benefit me. If I know it's going to bone you, wouldn't you just be like, oh my God, yes, you, and 4 times on Sunday, you. We don't have that. We have performative politics, right? Tell me, how is it possible that you got congressional approval of like what? 17%, if I'm being gracious. And yet, overwhelmingly, incumbents get reelected year after year. Does that seem odd to you? Because it's super weird to me. And trust me, I got a bunch of Republicans I'd like to kick out first because they're even more offensive. But for these people to sit there and grandstand, and James Comer, I'm talking to you too, bro. Look, I know that you went deep diving into Hunter Biden's laptop of yuck. Like, I know you got all the details about the $30 million that we know of that the Biden crime family syndicate got from Russia and Kazakhstan and Ukraine and China, all of that. Can anybody tell me how that's possible? That we still had a president who was in charge, allegedly, when his whole crime family syndicate was being exposed? Why does that happen? Because Congress is a joke. It's a joke. It's a figment of your imagination. I guarantee you I can run my household of 7 more effectively than those 435 idiots can do anything. And I'm sorry, it sounds harsh because I know there are some good people in there. I love Brandon Gill. I think Jim Jordan's a good guy, right? There are good guys there. I appreciate it. But for the love of all that is holy, stop it with the grandstanding. We want answers. We want things fixed. And this Minneapolis jazz, this fraud has been going on at least for a decade. So sit down and shove it. Okay, I feel much better. Now let's listen to a little bit of Jim Comer. He's the head of the House Oversight Committee. He sets the scene. He's got 2 audio sound bites. We're going to have him. Then we're going to play a little Nancy Mace. I don't know. She was successful, but it's not my style. Fix the freaking problem. Don't grandstand for the audience. Don't try to get on Twitter later. Don't try to be an Instagram click. Fix a freaking problem. Here's Jim Comer.
Today, the House Oversight Committee is holding its first hearing on the massive fraud in Minnesota's social services program. Minnesota's social services, which are funded by you, the American taxpayer, are being ripped off. The most vulnerable are suffering as a result. Federal prosecutors estimate that these criminals have stolen at least $9 billion. The fraudsters, many of whom are from Minnesota's Somali community, have stolen from programs meant to feed needy kids, provide services to autistic children, house low-income and disabled Americans, and provide health care to vulnerable Medicaid recipients. Fraudsters like these take millions to enrich themselves while providing nothing, overstating or outright faking the services. How many children have gone hungry because fraudsters stole money that was intended to provide them with food? How many autistic children were denied services because fraudsters instead sent this money overseas? How many low-income seniors, people with disabilities, or those with mental illnesses were denied access to housing because fraudsters drained resources and pocketed the money for themselves?
Sorry, yeah, I know all this. Right? I knew everything that Byron Donald said as he left Capitol Hill. He was upset. Dude, what do you think we've been talking about? What do you think it's like here in the real world, gentlemen? You know, please. It's been going on for years. Color me shocked that you're just now finding out about it. Here's Nancy Mace. I don't even remember what she talked about. I just know she's on fire because I put she isn't effing around. Well, let's listen in.
Question is, should Somalians who committed fraud be denaturalized and deported, Mr. Bayou?
Again,
yes,
I'm not sure that's an appropriate question because the majority of Somali
So if you
Minnesotans
commit
are
fraud
citizens.
in this country and you are here from Somalia, you don't believe they should be denaturalized and deported? How
Again,
much fraud would it take for you to want to denaturalize and deport someone who committed fraud in this country? How much?
Again,
$1
Ms.
billion?
Mace,
9 billion? 19 billion? What would it take for you?
most Somali Minnesotans are citizens.
Right. And the ones that committed fraud, the question was, if you understand English, should be those who committed fraud, should they be denaturalized and deported? The Somalians who are here, the ones that can't speak English.
Yeah, so under U.S. law...
Okay, my next question for you
Can I please finish the
is,
question?
no, you can't because you're not answering the question. My next question is, this is yes or no. If you marry your brother and you commit immigration fraud, should you be denaturalized and deported? If you
Again,
commit immigration fraud, yes or no?
Again, that question seems really inappropriate. And if I can get
Well,
back
you
to
can't
your
answer my question, so that's probably more inappropriate. Can you name one significant contribution to Minnesota from a Somali immigrant who can't speak English?
Absolutely, yes. But again, this is...
You didn't name one.
I mean, come on. Brother, you can sit there as the lib on the panel and pretend that this is nothing that's going on. It's nothing to see. We've seen it. A 23-year-old YouTuber named Nick Shirley did more than every single journalist who went to journalism school and got accurately trained could ever do. Why? Because he got a tip. And he was like, wait, what's going on? And he went and he knocked on doors and he started recording and he asked questions. And he got a lot of people angry. And they called the cops on him. The Somalians stealing our money. I mean, think about it. The Somalians stealing Nick Shirley's tax dollars had the audacity to call the cops on him.
That's like the robber calling the cops or suing you because he got hurt while robbing your house.
It's ridiculous. Well, I slipped on the driveway. Well, why were you
They didn't
breaking?
salt the driveway.
Why were you breaking in? Doesn't matter. They should have had it salted. You know, it's crazy. Yes, that's exactly right. Back to James Comer. He says, we all know this is going to be just the first one we know of. The fraud is going to be gargantuan. Gargantuan. And every young person out there who's a Generation Zer, listen to me when I say, don't blame Donald Trump for the cost of living debacle. Pay close attention to what's coming now, because it's fraud, spending, and fraud.
The breadth and depth of this fraud is breathtaking. And I fear that this is just the tip of the iceberg. The U.S. Department of Justice is already investigating another Minnesota service program after a disabled man battling drug addiction under the care of a fraudulent full-time provider died because of neglect. Governor Tim Walz, Attorney General Keith Ellison, and Minnesota's Democrat leadership have either been asleep at the wheel or complicit in these crimes. How could they allow this massive fraud to go on for years? This is why we're here today. We must expose this theft of taxpayer dollars and hold everybody accountable who let it happen.
Wonder if he asked the Republicans on the panel who were testifying, the Minnesota state representatives, one of whom is running for governor. How long have you known about this? Because it wasn't Nick Shirley who blew the whistle for you. I know darn well people have been blowing it for months and years. Why didn't you do anything about it? That seems like a logical question. I want you to hear J.D. Vance talking with Jesse Waters. Should Tim Walz resign? Interesting question. Interesting answer.
In Minnesota, they were just caught forging documents, trying to cover their tracks. Should Tim Walz resign?
Well, I think Tim Walz should resign. I almost feel bad for the guy, except for the fact that he should have seen this. And whether there was something criminal, whether he was aware of the fraud, which would be criminal, or whether he simply looked the other way, it's a massive, massive failure of government. The Trump administration, by the way, we've already sent hundreds and hundreds of additional people, of resources that are starting to investigate this stuff, get to the bottom of it. Stephen Miller sent people who are literally going door to door at some of these fraudulent daycare centers and trying to understand just how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Great. I appreciate that. We want this finished. And then he drops a little teaser hint about some kind of an announcement coming out of the president probably by the end of this week.
If you look at the amount of fraud in the welfare system, according to the statistics I've seen, 85% of Somalians who are in the United States, legal and illegal, are collecting some form of welfare benefits. So that's not to disparage the other 15%, but when you're at 85% of a population that is collecting welfare, that suggests that we have really done something wrong with regards to vetting, and that's the fundamental issue. Even if there's no fraud, 85% collecting welfare is way too many damn people collecting welfare, getting rich off the American taxpayer while a lot of Americans struggle. That's unacceptable. What's going on in Minneapolis, I think, is actually representative of a broader fraud scheme that we're going to see all over the country. We're going to see it in California. We're going to see it in other places, too, where people get rich from the American taxpayer. The Somalian fraud, for example, daycare fraud. You've got Americans, we've got programs set up to make it easier for Americans to get their kids in daycare so they can have proper child care. You take that money and you siphon it off to Somalian fraudsters, that's a double theft. Number one, that means a lot of American families can't afford their child care. Number two, that means a lot of American taxpayers are being fleeced. It's totally unacceptable. I believe, Jesse, we're going to have some very big announcements on this stuff in the next couple of days. I don't want to get ahead of the president on anything, but we believe that there is a nationwide fraud ring that's rooted in rooted in illegal aliens and others taking advantage of the American welfare system. We're going to get to the root of it, and anybody who's involved is going to get prosecuted.
Well, one can only hope, right? All right, so what have you heard about? Let's talk about other places. Let's talk about Greenland. Oh, Trump wants to go in there. And he wants to take it over. He wants to go and storm the castle and make it all his. And what about Venezuela? He wants their oil. He's a tyrant. No, actually, it's all very common sense and logical when you pay attention to what's actually happening and what he says. So let's talk Greenland and Venezuela. The oil. What's going to happen to it? Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. That's all I heard. I was surprised. The gal I was working out with this morning was like, so Trump wants to take all the oil and use all the oil. And I was like, where'd you hear that? Where'd you hear that? We're going to take their oil after we develop a way to get it out because their infrastructure is so poor. And apparently the kind of oil that is underground in Venezuela is far different than the kind that we need. And so its refining process is pretty extensive. And so I guess today they're going to be talking about it. We'll see. But Trump is using the oil as leverage for the Venezuelan government. Whatever the government ends up being, he wants to use that as leverage to them. We'll give you all the proceeds of what is God-given yours. We're not interested in stealing, but you got to do the right thing. And the right thing is by being our ally and being trustworthy as a Western Hemisphere ally. We'll see.
By the way, Toolsy said he felt like he was being ignored. You didn't say hi to him.
Hi, Toolsy.
He might have bounced.
Michael, say something. Because I want to tell you guys about Take Lean. So I had last commercial break talked to you about the drink, which is a great drink, MCT Wellness, the healthy fat. But I'm really excited about this particular supplement from Brickhouse Nutrition, and it's the makers of Field of Green. It's called Take Lean. And Lean is a doctor-formulated weight loss dietary supplement. And it does pretty remarkable things that I think we all need. Imagine if you could take a product that could help you lose significant weight, maybe, I don't know, 70, 80, 100 pounds, maybe 50 pounds, somewhere in there. Imagine if that product then also kept your blood sugar okay. It completely killed your cravings, and it converted fat into energy. You'd be like, yes, please, I'll have more. That's what Lean is all about. Doctor, physician formulated, right? This is not a big pharmaceutical product. This is over the counter. And it is a dietary supplement that could help you lose significant weight. If you don't want to lose significant weight, don't go to takelean.com, putting in my name, Wendy, for 20% off. Under no circumstances, you should do that. It's a great product. It's a great company. I trust them. And I trust Lean and MCT Wellness, a lot more than I do pharma. A lot more than I do pharma. All right, let's see what we're doing here.
Well, someone gave you money.
Wow. $50. Hi, Iowa Hawkeyes.
1, 2, 3.
We are feeding the world with taxpayer dollars, except we aren't feeding the food. Feeding them food, we're feeding them dollars. Yeah, well, yes.
Toolsy said he bounced. Wow. He gave up. That's Polish Dog 989. Tell Wendy I hit the like at 1.81K. Well, what took so long? 1,800 people did it before you.
Wow.
Well, you know.
Oh, Michael.
You big baby.
Dr. Marty, I still use Dr. Marty every single day.
Yes.
But he's not a sponsor of this program. I'm not really sure what he's doing. Whatever. That doesn't mean I don't like his products.
I don't personally
I
don't eat it, but the dogs love it.
I wouldn't talk to you guys about this stuff. Even like literally if Blood Flow 7 calls me tomorrow and they're like, yeah, well, we're breaking up with you. I'd be like, okay. Can I get a discount on my subscription?
Oh, Bondi 1981. Hi, Wendy, listening from the shithole Seattle.
Oh, it's great to have you. Hello. Well, it seems like Marco Rubio is going to be meeting with Denmark about Greenland next week. Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. It's so interesting when you think about what this president is doing, the chess pieces on his planet, his globe that he's spinning around and he's moving things and he's playing Battleship, right? A7, miss, right? And he's made overtures very early on in his administration, the second term, and he did talk about it, his first one, talking about Greenland, right? Now, anybody on the left who just thinks Trump is a tyrant and is a glutton and is all about his ego, would think that he would probably want to invade Greenland so he could change it to the name of Trumpland, right? Because that's what the message is that they get, right? They don't know about necessarily the minerals there, about the land there. They don't know about the strategic positioning there in the Arctic, right? Watching as Russia and China want to be able to cross with their ships and vessels and various things. President Trump wants to secure the Western Hemisphere, and Greenland is at the very top of it, right? And so he is saying, we want to create an alliance in the Western Hemisphere where we all operate in concert with shared understanding that if any of you all step out of line, we'll bomb the everlasting boop out of you or do something. But you won't do that because we are going to partner together to make everybody great. When you invest in America, it's going to come back to you. When you show us that you are a partner of ours, you are a friend of ours, economically, militarily, or otherwise, the benefits are going to come your way. We need Greenland for a bunch of military strategy reasons. It's about national security. It's about keeping Russia and China away. That is also Venezuela. Was it necessary to take out Maduro? Of course. And there's a new poll out. We're going to read it to you here in just a bit, where it's overwhelming American support. Overwhelming doesn't say it because the other countries in Latin America, aside from Mexico, the only country that only had a single-digit approval rating of it, a +1. Colombia said it was +80. You know, it's remarkable how the other countries view Nicolas Maduro being arrested. Donald Trump doesn't want the Venezuelan oil. It's not like he wants to go get it and sell it in America and benefit from it only for us and screw the Venezuelan people. He sees Venezuela as being the place where the largest crude oil reserves exist, except the oil is not light and sweet. It's heavy and it's sour. And so it involves great processing. So the president is brought in, he's bringing in, I think today or tomorrow, all of these people, from these big petroleum companies that do the refining in the Gulf of Mexico, et cetera, et cetera. And they're saying, hey, we're going to offload all of this material. Can you help us refine it? And then once it's refined, we're going to sell it on the open market. And we're going to give Venezuela the proceeds after we recoup our costs. We're going to, this is Venezuela's oil. We want them to have the money. It's time that the golden age comes back to Venezuela. However, we need that oil and we need the sale of it as leverage to ensure that whomever is elected by the Venezuelan people as their next government doesn't fall into the dirty old habits of Hugo Chavez, Nicolas Maduro, etc., but is serious about being an ally of the United States. And so now what is Venezuela doing? It's pledging to buy only made in America products. It's giving Trump 30 to 50 million barrels of oil. They have it stored in tankers and whatnot. Their infrastructure is poor. They don't have a great place to keep it. We're going to bring it. We're going to process it, right? We're going to put it on the market. And we're going to sell it. And then we're going to use that money to say to the new people who take over or what have you in Venezuela, the government, this is yours. You have to distribute it to your people. And if you don't, you're not going to get it anymore. And he then simultaneously squeezes out our adversaries, Russia, Iran, China, and he says, you know what? This area of our hemisphere, in the Caribbean around Venezuela, you are not welcome here. You go stay over on your eastern side where everything's falling apart, going to hell in a handbasket. We're doing great over here. Trump needs those two pieces of the puzzle in order to effectuate peace through strength. Simple as that. Marco Rubio saying Wednesday he will meet with officials from Denmark next week about Greenland. Trump always goes to the extreme. We're going to take it. But what really ends up happening is, or maybe we buy it from you. right? That's how he makes a deal. Canada's going to become the 51st state. Oh my gosh. But then Canadians are like, I'm thinking a partnership with the U.S. is kind of smart. When we come back, hour number 3 of the Wendy Bell radio program, she is who killed the Democrat Party. One person, one woman in 26 seconds. It's all going to make sense to you. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network.
Gulf of America.
Gulf of America, right? There's a reason. We are the Americas. That's what it is. That's our hemisphere. And so that's what he's saying. We're firming things up. And, oh, by the way, we're going to spend $1.5 trillion on our military next budget. It's a shite ton. What's he planning? He's planning the most lethal kinetic force that hopefully never has to be used. But when you know you've got an opponent who's got an arsenal and you've got a BB gun, right? You're kind of Zelensky versus Putin, right? Putin puppet. Dan, Ireland Contracting. Don't call and ask for him to do any electrical work for you right now. Unless it's inside your house, in which case that's fine. Home exterior renovation experts, IrelandContracting.com. Let's see what they said. Hey, Wendy, I had a visit from Ireland Contracting yesterday. I live in a 1860 renovated farmhouse. Wow. And I was worried about my roof that is over 20 years old. Tom from Ireland came out after just 2 days from my original phone call. He was so efficient. He checked everything out and said, I probably will need a new roof in 3 to 4 years. Wouldn't you love that? I would love that. When I'm like, you know what? I really think I need a new roof. And then the guy's like, actually, you're doing okay. I see a couple areas that we might be able to fortify for you, but I don't think you need to drop that. And by the way, it's going to cost blank amount when you do, so you can start budgeting. What? I've heard horrors. He charged me nothing for coming out, but he told me what it could cost so I could start planning. I love it. Thank you so very much. We've worked with so many of your sponsors. Ireland Contracting is what Wendy has been saying. A company family owned and operated. They have the knowledge. They work with integrity. Their customer service is second to none. Our family is so grateful for your sponsors. Thank you for trusting me. 1-800-NEW-ROOF, IrelandContracting.com. Sniper, by the way, totally took out the mold on my wicker planter thing. It's amazing. The whole thing is black, right? So it's kind of hard to see it. It's got these 3 legs and it's got like a basket around it, and I'd put a fern in there or whatever and stick it on the front porch. Anyway, the wrapping around it is like woven, and so it's like black. It's like black and white and black. It's like cream, black and cream. It's like a checkerboard thing, and everything is black. It all looks terrible. It's all mold and mildew and like bleh. It clearly shouldn't have been out in the rain and whatnot. So it got all weird. So I was like, well, before I throw it out, because it looks awful, with my sniper. I was getting in my car this morning to go to work, and it's the area that I sprayed is all new again. I'm like, thank you. Saved me another whatever. It was cheapy, $30 or whatever, but it works on the dumbest things. The dumbest things. You cut yourself, put sniper on it, wrap a bandage on it, and see how fast you heal. You have athlete's foot, the feelings of it. Spray your feet, spray your shower, and put on some socks, and you'll be like, thank you. All of the things disinfectwithsniper.com are off the charts. Free shipping for you, including, and they still have the spices. Don't forget, new spices. They're so good. So good. Hunt Chef, eat what you kill. That's their motto. I love it. I'm a carnivore. So disinfectwithsniper.com, no shipping, great products, everything we use.
Free shipping. They ship.
I beg your pardon. I said no shipping, free shipping. Yes, thank you. Sometimes I don't know what I say. Happens so fast. Wow.
Oh, what?
How's the sciatica?
Fine.
It's like asking about your prostate. So, how's your prostate? He's so he's not defensive about it. He's like nonchalant. He's fine. Fine.
Well, what's talking
I'm
about it
fine.
going to do?
I'm not asking for you to be a sob story, wacko. You don't have to like fall on the cross either.
Oh my goodness.
So weird.
Oh my
You're
goodness.
such a wiener. It's just unfortunate.
I'm such a wiener.
You're such a wiener. And everybody here knows about it. So,
wow.
Right. So Rubio's going to meet with the Danish. He's like, look, we're not going to try. We're not going to go in there with boots on the ground. I don't know why you're talking about that. Stop it. There are ways to negotiate Greenland. And when you offer $600 million or whatever you're going to offer, and they have like 30,000 people who live there, people are like, wait a minute, we're going to get money out of this? Yeah.
Well, think about it.
Yeah. Yeah, you will.
When you're negotiating for a car or whatever, or you're selling, you're going to ask for way more than you want. They're going to come back wanting to give you way less than what you want, but you end up meeting in the middle where you really want to be. So,
or you can subscribe to my philosophy on that stuff. I have a number that I want, and if I get close to that number, I say yes. Like if I'm selling something like a car, and I want to get $18,000 for the car, I have an idea of what I want to get for it. And if I'm somewhere within that range, then I say yes. I don't haggle. Haggler. You like haggling.
I do like to haggle.
I don't. Like we had people buy our condo, the first thing we ever had together, and they mustered their best offer and made their best offer, and we accepted it.
Well, that's fine. Was it where you wanted to be?
It was, yeah.
Okay. If that was the best and you wanted to sell it, then that's fine.
But I mean, Joe even said, we're not going to haggle with these people. If it's over this amount, if it's over $4,
that's fine.
And I'm like, okay. And so that's what we did. And literally the lady almost cried. She's like, really? I'm like, yes, I'll get blood from a turnip somewhere else.
Oh my.
What?
Victim.
There's no victim there.
I'll take a hit so someone else can live, and I'll make it
That's
somewhere
exactly
else.
what I was saying too.
That's what it sounded
You've
like.
got me pegged.
That's what it sounded
well,
like
I'm so glad you know me.
I like to negotiate.
No, you're.
I said I
look
wanted.
At him. Look at his face.
I said I wanted
Look at that
$6 an
stupid-
hour. She said $3. I took $4.
Thank God Kate works. She can carry the brunt of the bills.
Well, everybody needs a sugar mama.
4, 3, 2, 1. Wendy Bell, America's anchor mom, fighting for America 1 hour at a time. Welcome to the family. She once hosted a 3-hour show in just 15 minutes. She once intimidated the Electoral College to audit itself. Her monologues are so sharp, they're considered a concealed carry weapon. Fact-checker sites routinely issue her a retraction a week in advance. Even her commercial breaks trend on social media. Her freedom of speech has diplomatic immunity. She doesn't just drain the swamp has to ask for cab fare. Wendy Bell is the most interesting conservative woman on radio. Keep rumbling, my friends. 3 hours of bold truth and excellence. You've just signed up for the WBR Army. Strap in. This is the Wendy Bell radio program.
Welcome back. Hour number 3 of the Wendy Bell radio program is live. And I love this kind of a segment because it's not really packed with a bunch of information or news clippings or sound. It's just sort of diving into something that's unfortunate. There was a New York Post article yesterday I was reading, and I almost talked about it. I shared it with my sons. And it was talking about how Generation Z men have really just kind of given up the whole dating scene. It's become almost impossible to date anymore because if you go up to a woman these days and I don't know, where do you go? Usually it's a bar or some kind of a club. And you make some kind of small talk. It's like the immediate response is, ew, you're a creep. And it's like so many guys are like, look, this is how we communicate. This is how This is how the whole birds and the bees things work. We have to make overtures to one another and see if we're compatible. Like, but the door is getting shut in their face, and enough men are like, I'm done. I'm done with the crazy girls. So I'm not making the moves anymore. And so you're going to have a generation of young women who end up living with a bunch of cats. And there's nothing wrong with that. But it's not a family. It's not a meaningful relationship, right? It's not the picket fence and the 2.3 kids. That's not what it is. And enough men were like, look, this is just nutty. And I get it. I get it because this is what I want to talk about with you. It is so unbecoming, and I don't know where you go from here. I'm going to set you up with the backstory with BizPack Review because they actually covered this. There's a woman in Washington State who's a representative. She's a congresswoman. She is very unsightly. I'll say it nicely. Well, no, she's well-fed. She could be a man baby. She could be anything, right? She's got this big tat on her left arm. Like, whatever. You do you. But I find her comments yesterday very interesting. And so did apparently one of my favorite websites. It's called BizPack Review. So this is the headline. Dem lawmaker insists white men are the real problem during hearing on Somali fraud. Well, she looks like somebody who just came out of the woods. All right. Her name is, I don't mean to be mean, but I'm telling you the truth. Brock?
Yeah, she does not look Somalian. Let's just put it that way.
Let's just say she hasn't missed many meals, all right? She's the one that Feeding Our Future was actually feeding for the future. A House Democrat sought to distract from the purpose of a House Oversight Committee hearing on rampant Somali fraud in Minnesota by shifting the topic to blaming white men, a demographic that has been relentlessly scapegoated for years. Her name is Emily Randall. She's a Democrat out of Washington. She used her time during the Wednesday hearing to throw down the race card instead of doing her job of engaging in legitimate oversight of a massive scandal that's already forced Minnesota Governor Tim Walz to abandon his reelection bid amid the uproar after an independent journalist bombshell video exposed alleged fraud at Somali-run daycares. While she was questioning Republican Minnesota State Senator or State Representative Kristen Robbins, Randall suggested that the committee shouldn't even bother with investigating the fraudsters. I mean, forget about Somalians. Like, who cares about $9 billion, maybe up to $18 billion, but we've heard could be as much as 50 or even $100 billion. Like, why should we waste our time investigating that when we should be investigating crimes that are committed by whitey? Really? Okay, well, I'm going to have you listen to this and you tell me what you think. Listen.
We can trot out all of the data that we want to create the sense that there is a bad guy. There is a bad group of people. There are folks who are not among us. There are folks who are other. And I think we should spend a lot more time looking at ourselves, looking at American citizens, looking at white men.
Wow. How dare you? You know, the only reason you'd be looking at white men is because there's not a white man who would look at you. I don't know if you're gay or straight or up or down or in or out. I don't care. But I've had it. As a mom of 5 white men, young lady, you need to shut your mouth. You need to knock it off with the browbeating of a group of people who absolutely do not deserve it. I'm going to tell you a story real quick. My 3rd son, Ryan, since he was about 10, has dreamed of becoming an orthodontist. Ever since he was little. Ever since literally he got his braces on for the first time. I don't know why kids have to have them twice, but that's where we are. So the first time he was getting his braces on, he started paying attention to the orthodontist, started paying attention to the environment, started seeing that it's a lot of kids who go into the orthodontist's office, realizing that an orthodontist does something singularly unique. He or she gives a human being their smile. What a gift. And he said to me one day, you know what, Mom, I want to be an orthodontist. I like the hours, I like the kids, and I like the results. You can change someone's life, and it's always for the benefit. I want to be an orthodontist. Okay, great. The kid works his tail off all through high school to be in the top 10 in his all-boys Catholic school, right? It's during COVID. It's during DEI. It's during all this nonsense. And he goes to the University of Tennessee, where he's taking all these pre-med classes. He's now a pre-dental, pre-med path. Sophomore year is an absolute bear. They bury you with biology and physics and chemistry and and all this stuff. This is the weed out year for all the kids at the University of Tennessee who ultimately want to go on advanced somewhere medical, right? And I would imagine a huge chunk of them don't pass muster and they drop out. Ryan is working his tail off. He said to me at the very beginning of last year, at the beginning of the semester, I'm bummed. I'm not going to be able to really date anybody. I'm not going to have time. I really have to work hard. This is my year. This is sink or swim. Well, he's sinking. He's swimming, I should say. He's swimming. He's got to go to dental school. He's got to take a test, got to go to dental school. Dental school is extraordinarily complicated. Very competitive to get into. It's like becoming an ophthalmologist. It's the creme de la creme for some reason to get into dental school. And then after dental school, then there's additional education to become an orthodontist. It's a long slog. Well, our family knows somebody who happens to work with the University of Pittsburgh's dental school, one of the best in the country. This is literally across the street and down about a driver from my boy's high school in Pittsburgh. Pitt is. However, this gentleman that we know told us, well, at the University of Pittsburgh, to get into the dental school, 50% of the applicants who are selected are women. Of the 50 remaining, 25% are minority. So out of the gates, no matter what you've done, no matter what decisions you've made, no matter how hard you've worked, no matter how many hours he's shadowed with dentists around the country, no matter what he does or how he scores on this dental application test, whatever it's called, he's not black and he's not a chick. So he's got 2 strikes against him. Ms. Randall, how dare you talk about the offenses of white men in this country? How freaking dare you? Why do you believe that it's appropriate to demonize one particular group? Don't you understand that what you're doing is exactly what you scream white people do to you? You're clearly a minority. You look like it. So in order to fight discrimination or racism or all that, you have knives out for white men. In order for us, don't talk about Somalian fraud. Let's talk about fraud among white men. Well, I'm sure there's a time and place for that, ma'am. But right now, we got a bunch of people who aren't from our country, who look nothing like us, who don't speak our language. 90% of them are on welfare even after they've been here for 10 freaking years, and you want to blame whitey. How offensive. You are a scourge, young lady. And I can predict for you without even shaking my magic 8 ball. You're in for a very lonely life. Unless you're lesbian, in which case I'm sure it'll be fine. However, be very careful who you throw stones at. The white men in this country, who I have the pleasure of knowing because I'm surrounded by them, are honorable, hardworking, honest, passionate, protective men. They care about their families. They care about their communities. They care about their country, and a fair number of them have fought for it. Ms. Randall, do not paint with such a broad brush. I have a child who they may very well not get into dental school. Not because he's not good enough, not because he's not smart enough, not because he didn't plan enough, not because he didn't prepare enough, but because he's a white boy. That is a disgrace from this mother to that representative from Washington State. Watch it. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program. You got to love this. The Secretary of War slapping around CNN, Pete Hegseth. It was like, boom. He like pushed Marco Rubio out of the way yesterday. Did you see this? Oh my, what he said? Oh, but he's just a white man. right? Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. Unseemly, unkempt.
He, they, them look.
I don't care.
Like Chuck Schumer's wife.
Right. Who's a middle linebacker for the, the Lions. She's giant. You're like, Jesus. Who's beats around who in that relationship? Let's get the background. What's her name? Emily Randall bio. She loves her cat Kittles. Let's see.
How many dental schools are out there?
Not a lot. Yeah, I don't even think she's like Native American or anything. She's just not appealing. And to say something so dumb. You know what? Then what I should say is something about all black women then. Because if you look at the examples that you have in Congress, right? We could clearly be like, well, all black women are obviously toxic then. The problem is black women. People would be like, oh my gosh, that's racist. And I'd be like, no. I mean, if we look in this closed environment, look at Congress, they're toxic. Toxic. That's factual. Prove me wrong. Just listen to these idiots.
Yeah, Summer Lee.
Wow, low IQ to a T. Hey, let's talk about it. Let's see who I can pull up for you guys. The Ignite 90 program was a great first step to learn my body composition, and then my PCP performed my blood work. It indicated high cholesterol. My PCP prescribed an exercise program and diet, blah, blah, blah. So I used my health savings account to cover the Ignite 90-day program costs. The initial in-body test had my weight at 200 pounds, my body fat mass at 21%. Changed all of this stuff, blah, blah, blah. Yes. So I focused on lifting, got it down 21%, down to lost 4% of body fat, down to 17%, dropping into a healthy range, dropped 30 pounds. There's a big difference between 200 and 170. That's a whole, jeez. That's a whole fifth grader. Right? More Gains Fitness, MORGAINZ fitness.com. 90 days. She'll give you your body back. And you can live anywhere and do it remotely, which is great. MORGAINZ, moregainsfitness.com. Oh my goodness, this is going fast here. Okay. This new CBS poll about Trump removing Maduro. People were bitching about that for about 7 minutes.
Tony DeCoppola, I saw, did well. The ratings were up.
Tony DeCoppola did? Well, they just fired the number 2 guy, the producer guy. I guarantee you somebody's been sabotaging him. Guarantee you somebody's been sabotaging his scripts, sabotaging his equipment. This is the petty work.
Yes.
This is the petty work of broadcasting. I'm telling you, people will do anything to climb above you and your carnage. Your body's still smoldering. They like step around you. They're like, okay.
Even if you're below them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They'll
You're
go
a threat. You're a threat.
Yeah.
It's pathological. I think it's inherently narcissistic and insecure, but that's just me. I mean, not everybody can have. I mean, that's not very friendly. 6,300, hanging tight. Why don't we have 3.5? 320 rumbles to go, and then I'll shut my pie hole. Carves out the media and talks directly to you and to me, right? He puts it out on Truth Social. Isn't that a kick in the huevos for these people, right? January 6th, he goes out and he tells everybody, please go home. Please be peaceful. Please go home. Stop, don't Don't break the law. Go home. Be safe. We'll figure it out. Don't worry about it. He puts that video up. Twitter takes it down and permanently bans him. Right? So he's like, really? That's what you're going to do? And he starts Truth Social with Devin Nunes. Now, huge platform. He's got tens of millions of followers, right? Everybody wants to know. He's E.F. Hutton. Everybody wants to know what Trump is saying because he tells you before he does it. He tells you. He just had something about Raytheon. He's not pleased with how slowly our military equipment's being made. And he's ticked off about the compensation packages of the executives. So he puts out a truth directly to Raytheon. And he's like, hey, attention, Raytheon, we expect you to crank up stuff here. You're not really playing ball with us. If you don't want to be a top provider for us, we can go elsewhere. You decide. What? And he put this out. This is what Trump said on Truth yesterday. He said, I have been just informed that Venezuela is going to be purchasing only American-made products with the money they receive from our new oil deal. These purchases will include, among other things, American agricultural products and American-made medicines, medical devices, and equipment to improve Venezuela's electric grid and energy facilities. In other words, Venezuela is committed to doing business with the United States of America as their principal partner, a wise choice and a very good thing for the people of Venezuela, the United States. Thank you for your attention to this matter. He's not saying that for Venezuela. He's saying that to Greenland. Hey, do you understand what's going on here? I gave you the worst deal to begin with, which was we're going to take you over and you're going to like it. To, okay, well, let's talk. Maybe we can buy you, right? Maybe we could buy you. Interesting. I want you to hear what Pete Hegseth said yesterday. So they're doing this press conference, and there's a CNN reporter who apparently always asks disingenuous questions, and literally JD or Pete Hegseth that just pushes Marco Rubio out of the way to answer the question. You have an A team, and I'm still not sure America realizes the A team that we have. We had Mayorkas and all the other clowns. I can't even think of all of them. They're so bad. Jen Granholm, Pete Buttigieg. You have an A team now. Listen, it's demonstrated in this audio clip.
I want to emphasize that question from CNN. The question's never asked how much does it cost when they're in the Mediterranean or the Red Sea or the Indian Ocean or the Pacific. But now that they're in our hemisphere on a counter-cartel mission or ensuring that an indicted individual comes to justice, now you're asking the question of cost. It's a disingenuous question to begin with. You're trying to find any angle possible to undermine the success of one of the most historic military missions the world has ever seen. The level of sophistication that Senate just was briefed on and the House was briefed on, a classified level, is something only the United States of America can accomplish. The world is taking notice of that. Certainly Venezuela is taking notice of that. And it continues because two oil tankers, overnight, were seized by the United States of America, stateless or sanctioned, because the oil blockade, the quarantine of oil out of unsanctioned or stateless, sanctioned or stateless vessels continues. That leverage will continue as Secretary Rubio outlined. So our military is prepared to continue this. As he said, the president, when he speaks, he means it. He's not messing around. We are an administration of action to advance our interests, and that is on full display. We're happy to brief the House.
100%. I'm going to call you out right now. Don't do whataboutism now because we have a president who has steely resolve, has plans, is playing geopolitical chess with people, and the media can only react to it. They can never break anything. They can't get in. They burned all of that. Interesting CBS News poll I saw. This is a poll, U.S. military action in Venezuela. Do you approve or disapprove of U.S. military action in Venezuela removing Nicolas Maduro from power? This is only a Republican question. Only Republicans answer this question. Okay? So they have MAGA Republicans, and then they have people who aren't considered MAGA Republicans, non-MAGA Republicans. I don't know who that is. Is that old people? I have no idea. Old, crusty conservatives? I don't know. Among MAGA Republicans, do you approve of military action in Venezuela removing Maduro from power? Do you approve of what happened? 97% of people who associate with making America great again, That is their platform. That is what we want. 97%. That is staggering uniformity among a group of people. Among non-MAGA Republicans, 80% still approve. A blistering 80 to 90% question. Yes, we voted for that. When we come back, this is what peace through strength gives you. It gives you leverage, if you will. I'll explain next. The thing about being ahead of everybody else, it's tricky, and that is why people say talking about a chessboard. Because when you look at a chessboard, and this is why I probably haven't played it, I don't have the patience for it.
Oh, it's fun.
But you have to look at it and see the consequences of your move 5 moves away, right? So you're not just moving ambivalently for now. You have to see how that move could possibly open up other moves and what's going to happen to win. Trump doesn't just anticipate. He certainly doesn't just react. He anticipates, but he anticipates 2 years from now, which leads me to believe he's a time traveler.
I like to play chess.
Do you?
Yeah.
Ryan's good at it.
But there's not a lot of people. Dr. Mike, right? There will be a pet show this Saturday. Is like, he won't even play me. He's like, it's not fair. I'll beat you in so many moves. And I'm like, well, you don't know that. He's like, no, I do. I do know that. I'm like, oh, okay.
Well, it's probably not fun.
No, he says, he's like, you won't beat
Yeah.
me. Like, I think he went to college, like, got a scholarship for it. So he's like that good. And he's like, you won't have any fun. I'm like, nah,
I appreciate that.
I kind of like to learn. Like, to me, that's even getting your ass whooped is a learning experience.
326. We are 240 away from that beautiful number 3.5.
Bad Joke Friday tomorrow. WBRBrock@gmail.com. WBRBrock@gmail.com. Good news. WendyBellRadio@gmail.com.
Or
WBRBrock@gmail.com. That's probably the safer bet.
Sorry. It is what it is.
If you do have a putt question, you can email me at the same email. Or just ask on Rumble. Is there a Sunday show? That's up to the boss. I don't make those decisions.
I do not.
That's above my pay grade. We can put it off until tomorrow.
I almost think that it would be smart for us to do one because we've asked people to join in the, follow us. And so maybe they would get a notification that we're going live and they might like us here. I don't know.
I'm real busy.
Taking care of your prostate, which is code for sciatica.
I'm doing that today. You should feel bad for me.
I do. For many reasons.
I know.
What's going on out there? Hi, TZ Burton. Hi, XZ5 Mad Mike. How you doing? Stephen G. There's my boyfriend.
I think next time Toolsy comes to Pittsburgh, you should leave him at the airport.
Hi, Sally Matt. Hi, Bex for me. What's going on? Oh my gosh, right? Dr. Marty's. I know. I love his stuff. Polish Dog. Hi. Hi, Goody. When Wendy Bell lifts weights, the weights get in better shape. You're the best.
Can you put the Sunday show a bit later in the morning, please? No.
But you can watch it afterwards. You can watch it whenever you want, right?
Yeah. I will say most times If you ask a question to me about the show, the answer is no.
What do you mean?
If you ask me to do something, the answer is typically no.
Wow.
Just saying.
I usually say yes.
That's because they don't ask you.
How cute that I got a dozen yellow roses from this cute young man who's in Bobby and Chris's class in high school.
His mom.
Probably his mom. Who wanted to thank me for getting Sean Parnell to get Mike Kelly to open the door to an appointment letter to the U.S. Naval Academy. And they sent me flowers. I was like, oh my gosh, that was so nice. I love yellow roses. Here I thought it was one of my boys.
I could have told you that.
'Cause,
25 years of having children.
Because I've said to them, one of these days you're going to get it. Like, you're going to get it. It's all going to click. You're going to understand what I've been teaching you. You're going to understand all of it. And the day that you do, I hope you send me a dozen yellow roses. And all you have to say on the card is,
I get it.
Right? I'm weird that way. Oh, well.
So is there a show Sunday?
I don't know. You said I had until tomorrow.
Oh.
I don't know.
Well, you had people celebrating like there was, and I didn't hear an answer, so I
don't know. We'll find out.
People just want to know.
I know. So do I.
Well, you're the one who makes the decisions.
Mm-hmm. Most consequential geopolitical shifts in the Western Hemisphere in recent decades. Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. What began as this tense kind of standoff is now turned into a major economic and strategic realignment, with Venezuela agreeing to transfer significant quantities of oil to the United States, and with interim authorities working with Washington on energy cooperation. Think about it. A week ago, ladies and gentlemen, Venezuela was an enemy of the United States. And now they want to buy made in the USA. They want to be part of the golden age. Donald Trump made that happen by doing what no other president had the cojones to do. Right? By choosing the right people to put in the right spots. And so you're thinking to yourself, well, what about all these Venezuelan oil tankers? What's happening with that? Are they still seizing? Is the U.S. still seizing these tankers? Well, this is what I have on that. And I think this is something that we need to put to bed, because if there's an overarching idea in your mind, I believe this is not true. I do not believe that the United States went in to take out Maduro because they wanted the oil. I don't think that's the case. I think they need Venezuela to be on the same page as the United States, so enemies who hate us stop coming into our areas, stop coming and floating by the Gulf of America, right? We don't want Russia, not interested in China. Iran can suck it. We don't want you nearby. You go figure out you, and then you'll finally realize that it makes much more sense to make a deal with President Trump than to try to destroy him. The Trump administration said Wednesday that it is marketing Venezuelan crude oil for sale and will control the flow of crude from the South American country indefinitely as U.S. forces seize 2 sanctioned tankers in Atlantic waters. The administration is enlisting private companies and financial institutions to facilitate the sale of oil. It insists that the aggressive efforts will benefit everyone. All proceeds from the sale of the Venezuelan crude oil and products will first settle in U.S.-controlled accounts at globally recognized banks to guarantee the legitimacy and integrity of the ultimate distribution of proceeds. Caroline Leavitt said that yesterday. Those funds will be dispersed for the benefit of the American people and the Venezuelan people at the discretion of the United States government. She said the U.S. will roll back some sanctions on Venezuelan oil to facilitate the sales, and moves to control the crude supply from Venezuela, which has the world's largest known oil reserves, followed the U.S. military's weekend raid to capture Nicolas Maduro in Caracas. Flown to New York, blah, blah, blah. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said the fast-moving actions this week are part of a broader plan to stabilize Venezuela under acting President Delcy Rodriguez while using its oil reserves as leverage to ensure American interests. It's not just winging it, Mr. Rubio said to Capitol Hill reporters yesterday. He said the oil profits will benefit regular people and not corruption, not the regime, right? Which is great. So as that's going on, I want you to hear this from Secretary of Energy, Chris Wright. This guy is a gazillionaire in his own right. He developed his own, I don't know what kind of company it was, but his own energy company. Guy is loaded. And when the president says, would you come serve in my administration? This guy is losing money hand over fist to say, absolutely, Mr. President. How do you wish me to serve, right? This is what he says. Energy Secretary Chris Wright on CNBC. It is all about the leverage.
So we put that blockade on Venezuela. They're still producing oil. They can't ship it to the world. So it's in floating storage in tankers, mostly illegal, sanctioned gray market tankers, and it's on onshore storage in Venezuela. So we are in dialogue with the Venezuelan government, saying let's work together to fix Venezuela. We got rid of the head of the gang, Nicolas Maduro and his wife. They're in prison. Work with us. Let's improve your country together. So we're going to now allow those tankers to flow, but we're going to market that crude. They fully understand this. They're a partner in doing that. We're going to allow that crude to be sold so that revenue can be generated, but then we're going to control the flow of that revenue to make sure it's going for productive reasons in Venezuela.
Let me be more direct. Is there a narrative in Venezuela that you are stealing our oil?
I have not heard that narrative. I've seen celebrations in the street and Libre Venezuela out. I think people are thrilled. They've lived under, between Chavez and Maduro, 26 years in a brutal dictatorship that's only devastated that country and hurt the whole hemisphere. So I've not heard that narrative at all. And of course, if it's that narrative's out there, it's untrue. We're just controlling the flow of revenues from their oil.
What vibe do you get that this administration and is ineffectively this president is all about stealing from others to the benefit of the United States? That he'll go out there and he'll topple anybody he wants and he'll come over here and it'll be to the benefit of the United States. I only hear him saying to other countries with their trade deals, or you can build a factory here in America. You can pay our 25% tariffs or 50% tariffs on the goods that you want to sell here, or you can work with us and build your products here, and then you don't have to worry about the tariff. Why don't you do that instead? It's yes, to the benefit of the United States. Yes, it's to the benefit of the country that he's talking about. It's never a loss for the other guy. There's always somebody who gets something. That is the art of the deal. Meantime, other geopolitical chess plays. Trump pulls us out of dozens of UN and global agencies. This is one of those stories that you barely would hear about, but it is important. Trump on Wednesday pulled the United States out of dozens of international agencies, including more than 30 United Nations organizations as the president underscores his America First agenda. Look, it's America First, but it's not America only. This is what the title of our show was yesterday. Yes, we're going to be the police of the planet. Yes, we already are. You guys in every other country, there's a problem. Oh, go to the United States for humanitarian aid. Go to the United States, they'll send you money. Go to the United States, they have the answer. And so when you start behaving like the global power that you are, that Joe Biden obviously wasn't, people are like, what's going on over there? Well, you tell us. Among the agencies that we're pulling out of are the UN Population Agency. It sounds diabolical. The UN treaty that establishes international climate regulations. Come on, right? The Global Forum for Migration and Development, which is tied to the UN's Global Compact for Migration, which, by the way, got you what we've had the last 4 years. Of the non-UN agencies, Mr. Trump withdrew the U.S. from the Partnership for Atlantic Cooperation, the International Institute for Democracy and Electoral Assistance, and the Global Counterism Forum. By pulling the U.S. out of these agencies, America will no longer provide financial support, thank you, or be bound to their conventions or treaties. Mr. Trump wrote in an executive order that he determined it is contrary to the interests of the United States to remain a member of, participate in, or otherwise provide support to the organizations listed in the directive. The State Department said the Trump administration found these institutions to be redundant, mismanaged, unnecessary, wasteful, poorly run, captured by the interests of actors advancing their own agendas, and contrary to our own or a threat to our nation's sovereignty, freedoms, and general prosperity. Shoot, it sounds like they're talking about Minneapolis and the fraud going on there. So I was interested in this. Well, there's a White House one sheet. Donald Trump is sending the world a message. We're not down with your ridiculous global nonsense or climate nonsense. We're not going to play your DEI games anymore. We're not going to pretend that everything's an emergency when really what we're doing is just spending gobs of taxpayer money to pretend like we're affecting some kind of a change. We're done. If you're poorly run, if your directives suck, if we are dubious of your science or of your objectives, and the answer is no. And we're taking our money with us. I voted for that. So this one sheet shows President Donald J. Trump withdraws the United States from international organizations that are contrary to the interests of the U.S. Right? Today, President Trump signed this thing, 66 international organizations that no longer serve American interests. President Trump is ending U.S. participation in international organizations that undermine America's independence. Many of these bodies promote radical climate policies and global governments. We're not down with that. American taxpayers have already spent billions of dollars on these organizations with nothing in return. While they often criticize U.S. policies, advance agendas contrary to our values, or waste taxpayer dollars by purporting to address important issues but not achieving any real results. I'm sorry, isn't that the entirety of government? Redundant things. We're going to have an emergency, always a victim, something we need to sink our teeth in. Hurry, spend the money now, do it now. Okay, get it out the door. And how is that working for us? Well, I don't know. I thought you were looking at that. Wait, you're not looking at that? I'm not looking at that. Hey, Earl, get in here. Hey, has anybody been looking into this? No? Let's get our money out. By exiting these entities, President Trump is saving taxpayer money. He's refocusing resources on America First priorities. I got it. Immediately upon returning to office, Trump initiated the withdrawal of the United States from the World Health Organization. Thank you. They were going to hold the proverbial gun to your head in the form of a COVID vaccine or whatever next inoculation they deem an emergency for the next pandemic. On day one, he also signed a presidential memorandum to notify the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development that your global tax deals suck for the United States, and we're tired of being your universal piggy bank. No mas. I voted for this. 66 organizations. Donald Trump said, you know what? I'm sorry, but you're not doing anything that's moving any needles, certainly not to the benefit of my people. And we're America first. Not America only, but damn straight America first. Thank you, Mr. President. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, now this is what I believe Maduro's capture. They say it's about drugs, the war on drugs, narco-terrorism. I think it's more than that. And I want to cue up an audio soundbite and see if it maybe you join me in my thoughts. You ready? Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network.
Hey, we said we were going to ask, and we haven't.
What?
Hold on, let me press a button. So anyone out there own a floral shop and want to be involved in an idea? WBRBrock@gmail.com. If you own a floral shop or have a friend that owns a floral shop that isn't a liberal, WBRBrock@gmail.com. I'd like to have a conversation about an idea. We're going to do it with someone else, but they want to go a different direction with the way they sell their flowers. Wendy likes the idea.
Well, I mean, if they're flowers.
Correct.
Involved, right?
No, I can't rake hair. Ray Carr. It is what it is.
What are they asking?
Tell me to tighten the screws. You can only tighten them so much.
Well, then it doesn't work.
Yeah. That's why you see a lot of people that have the stand-up mics.
Mm-hmm. I wonder what Trump isn't paying attention to. We don't hear a whole lot about the Department of Education, about what's going on with education. I'm curious about that. Right? That's a huge deal. Do we get to 3.5 yet?
Not looking in the Pittsburgh area necessarily. Anyone, it's out there.
3.37.
Nobody buys flowers anymore? I disagree.
I do.
She buys them once a week for herself. Well,
I have red roses and yellow roses in my house right now. And I'm not a big rose girl. I could come up with a flower of the month, though.
That's the idea, to do the Wendy Bell
bouquet of the month.
Bouquet of the month, where we can put it in the backdrop and
legit, it's my favorite stuff.
Yes.
That's what we're thinking about. But it would have to be somebody who'd be ready for an onslaught.
Yes.
Because I do believe that if you offered something, if you could do
a subscription once a month, come up with something. Wendy gets her bouquet for free. That's the trade-off.
Do I really?
Well, unless you subscribe. I told Kate the idea. She's like, "Ooh, do I get them?" I'm like, "If you subscribe."
Oh my goodness. That's terrible.
I make $4. I have to grow my own. I have to grow my own.
that we're not supposed to talk about, that the whole censorship industrial complex that nearly was completely hook, line, and sinker completed under Joe Biden was basically enacted to do, and that's to silence people like you and like me from saying the things that we want to say, from being able to share information. It was like COVID all over again. Remember when I went to church parking lots and wrote down license plate numbers of people who were inside worshiping or gathering? It's like, you people have lost your minds. Censorship obviously is a way to control who can say what, about what, when, and to whom. And when you control social media, whether you own Twitter or you own whatever, right? You hold a lot of power. A lot of power. I think a huge reason why Nicolas Maduro was captured, arrested, and brought back to the United States. Yes, it has to do with drugs. That's definitely something, but that's not why. I think this is the canary who needs to start squawking. This is the bird who needs to, start singing. And I think Trump is going to squeeze Maduro for intel. I think he wants to know about the Dominion and Smartmatic voting machines that we have heard about for years, but the voices that spoke of them were diminished. They were ridiculed. People like Rudy Giuliani and Mike Lindell, and in Pennsylvania, Doug Mastriano, and who else? Sidney Powell. Do you guys remember that name? Sidney Powell, Mike Flynn, General Flynn's lawyer. And this is during the whole uproar over 2020. Look, I don't think anybody who's telling the truth believes the results of that election. The election was compromised. There was all sorts of fraud, and some of the most egregious happened within the machines from Dominion and the software by Smartmatic. And this stuff gets traced to Venezuela, the same machines and or software that Hugo Chavez used, that ostensibly Nicolas Maduro used to never leave office. Well, what if these people have been controlling our elections all this time, and President Trump wants it hook, line, and sinker on ice for the American people to see? A great way to find out is to take Nicolas Maduro and say, you'll spend the rest of your life at CCOT, or you'll tell me everything you know and maybe have a better, cushier tomorrow. Listen to Sidney Powell drop the information almost 6 years ago.
The Dominion voting systems, the Smartmatic technology software, and the software that goes in other computerized voting systems here as well, not just Dominion, were created in Venezuela at the direction of Hugo Chavez to make sure he never lost an election after one constitutional referendum came out the way he did not want it to come out. We have one very strong witness who has explained how it all works. His affidavit is attached to the pleadings of Lynn Wood in the lawsuit he filed in Georgia. It is a stunning, detailed affidavit because he was with Hugo Chavez while he was being briefed on how it worked. He was with Hugo Chavez when he saw it operate to make sure the election came out his way. That was the express purpose for creating this software. He has seen it operate, and as soon as he saw the multiple states shut down the voting on the night of the election, he knew the same thing was happening here, that was what had gone on.
Now, I remind you, Tina Peters remains in a Colorado prison. She was an elections clerk. And she spoke up. She's like, look, this is so wrong. I'm noticing something very wrong. And she managed to bring in some kind of a forensic expert and make some kind of a digital copy of this particular machine before they wiped the machine. Like, why would you wipe the machine? Why would you not save your chain of custody logs? Why would you not save the interviews of your January 6th, witnesses? Your star witnesses. Why would you do any of these things? Well, we know that when people cover things up, they break them, they have them disappear or what have you, that you're usually guilty as stones, right? We know this. I believe, if I'm going to put on my Reynolds wrap a little tightly, I believe the drugs and the narco-terrorism and this war on it is a absolutely appropriate and meaningful backdrop. But I think the star of the show is getting Nicolas Maduro to say what he says, what he knows about stealing our elections. That's what I think. And I think that if President Trump, I don't know what's going to happen, but he did offer Nicolas Maduro and his wife a really cushy exile in Turkey that Maduro did not take before we went in and got him. I bet you Trump is like, look, bud, I gave you a nice play before, but you got to tell me some stuff. And I bet you Nicolas Maduro sings like a bird. Thanks for being part of the show. Love when you are here. I love you, America. We'll see you tomorrow on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. Peace.